4번 시드 프로토스 도재우.
이번 시즌은 좀 더 높은 시드 받아보도록 하겠습니다. 저도 지금 후보를
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final day of the round of 16. This time it's Group D, and with me is Voddy. You're back, man.
Yeah, I'm here to watch some more StarCraft, you know? And a very stacked group indeed that we're going to watch.
Yeah, this is going to be a very exciting group. We've got really good players across all the races. Every single season, I have high hopes for best. And last season, he ended up getting round of 4, which is the first time in I think, maybe ever. Because consistently he was like a round of 16 player, round of 8 player, but maybe he's finally turned the corner. And then we've got 2 Terran players, Sharp and Royal. Royal always looking strong. And then probably one of my favorite Zerg players of all, Action. He's super good versus Terran. And last season he had some epic games versus Best, so I'm really looking forward to their matchup.
Yeah, and being good at Terran, of course, I mean, against Terran is great in a group like this. Most would probably put Royal as the favorite to emerge from this group, in the winner even. But I have to say, it's really difficult to predict this group, because I happen to know that Sharp has been killing it recently, somewhat recently, in you know, those weekly sponsored team events that exist. He's killed some extremely strong ASL finalist level players. So even the weakest player in this group is a menace.
Yeah, when you were telling me that, I was a bit surprised because Sharp, you know, he always makes it in ASL, but doesn't really translate those online skills into wins in ASL. But maybe finally he's also turned a corner. Maybe he can finally make it into the round of 8. It's going to be really hard though, because Royal, he's super strong versus Terran. So is Action, and then everybody knows best he's a monster in PvT. So out of all groups, this is probably going to be one of the hardest ones for Sharp to make it out of.
Yeah, it would be, for sure. He had a bit of a slump recently, and I'm hoping that's over, but I guess we'll see. Maybe he's not as good offline. I don't know if that's a thing. Psychologically for some people, perhaps.
Yeah, we'll see. What about any of the other players? Since you have some inside scoop into Sharp, is there anybody else that stands out in this group?
Well, I mean, okay, I think Best has a very particular style, at least at the moment, in PvT. And, I mean, you probably all know what it is. It's like mass units, try to use upside advantage, you know, maybe some storm drops and stuff. And not a lot of carries, not a lot of arbiters. Just, like, you know, aggression in the mid-game, basically. And I think that style is very map-dependent, so I want to think about, like, the maps in the pool right now. You know, are they good for his style, basically? And what I think what we're looking for is, you know, obviously like a third base that's very open that you can attack, but it's difficult to take for the Terran. Another thing is, like, in the mid-game, can you maneuver around and counterattack and stuff? So I suppose, like, a really good map for this might be something like... Honestly, Retro is okay for it, because, you know, anytime you expand, you're exposing yourself to attack. But a bad map might be like... well, I'll have to go back in time a little bit, but maybe, you know, Electric Circuit, because Terran starts with 3 bases already on 1 choke, right? Something like that. So I guess the maps are okay for him. I'm going through the maps, and I can't really think of anything that's particularly bad for that way to play. It is a very popular way to play right now.
Okay, well, we'll see if he pulls out that style. You know, with the maps in the actual BattleNet ladder pool, us foreign players actually have a chance to play on these new maps. Have you played any of the new maps? I just
yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah,
I hadn't
is.
played for a while, and then yesterday actually I played for the first time in a while, and I was like a little rusty. I was very tired when I played too, so it didn't go too well. But it was very interesting to play on the maps. You know, you really have to like some of these maps, like La Campanella, for example. You really have to change how you play on it. So I'm gonna be trash for a while until I figure out something. You know, I need like a complete model, something that makes sense. But yeah, I have. And I think the maps, we don't have a lot of statistics on them yet, so I don't want to talk about racial balance, but they seem alright for every race so far.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I just streamed the other day, and it was also the first time I played the ladder, or the new ASL maps. And I actually think La Campanella is my favorite map, and the reason I say that is because finally, when I play Terran versus Terran, I don't just instantly expect it to be Vulture versus Vulture. Like, that's one of the things I hate about TVT, is it has literally just become 3-fac versus 3-fac, whereas with this particular map, you actually get to see players try and go for drops, try and harass your natural mineral line. You know, they open Wraith sometimes. They may go for like a Tank Goliath drop. It's a very cool map. Now, I didn't play a lot of games on it, so, you know, maybe it's really hard versus Zerg because they get that free back base, but just so far from what I've experienced, to me, I like La Campanella because it at least brings out some new builds.
There's a lot of potential in it, and of course we haven't really... Well, we may never, but it hasn't like been solved. The meta hasn't settled on the map. But just thinking about it, very interesting. I mean, you mentioned the free base for Zerg, and yeah, he gets that. But maybe it's time to tank push that base, because you can actually siege the base from the high ground, you know? So maybe like a tank Valkyrie push could be good. We've seen that work on other maps. As for Terran versus Terran, I mean, you can definitely just wall in and go tank Goliath, and then take your third, because then all you have to do is push to the center to cover your third base, because again, you can siege it from the center of the map, so that's not a lot of map control that you have to take away from the mine opener, you know? All you have to do is push there, and then you also get a fourth, so like you don't really need to go vultures on that map, although you can.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, what about best versus action? If we have that matchup, it's a rematch from last season. Did you see any of those games? They were quite epic. Do you remember any of those games?
I remember, yeah, I do. So, yeah, I mean, Best, I think he's got a good style, but I'm worried that he just plays that one style, and like if somebody expects it, you could counter it. You know, like somebody who's more unpredictable, I think, is scarier as Protoss. Because if you know what your Protoss opponent, at least as Terran, and I mean as Zerg to some extent, but especially as Terran, if you know what he's going to do, you know he will plays one way, you can really metagame him hard and greed. Like for example, you know he's not going to go DTs.
Yeah.
It opens up so many extra possibilities that you don't even have to take a risk to do. Normally it's a risk to go for stuff like that. Like, for example, you can delay turrets to do like an early 2-fact attack after an expansion, stuff like that. And honestly, the only thing I've seen from Best is that mass gateway attack style. I haven't seen anything else in like a year from him versus Terran.
Yeah, when I think of Best, I always think of Gateway Man. Every time I watch him play, he doesn't build that many observers. He runs into a lot of mines, and I think to myself, man, like you still run over these Terran players because you have so much stuff. But if you could just not lose so many zealots to mines, you would crush them even harder. I think versus someone like Royal, he's going to have to be especially careful versus, because if he bleeds off units and if he gets harassed, like what I know Royal likes to do, it's going to be a tough matchup for him.
Yeah, Royal he often plays, especially on maps that allow for it, a style where he just kind of expands and then expands and then expands and does some harassment. And he might do a Doom push later if Protoss leaves him alone, but usually what happens is he just absorbs attacks and then like wins by default later. So anyway, the point is, he's good at that style, right? He's good at just sitting there and absorbing attacks. And we've actually seen Best lose in ASL before by going for like a big gateway attack. And then Terran like barely held it. You know, he placed every mine, he had perfect positioning and so on. But then at the same time, Terran counterattacked his expansions with like 4 vultures and maybe like 1 tank in a dropship. And actually, it's so devastating when Protoss brings everything to attack to the front. That's like one potential tactical weakness of that style that you could exploit, which I think Royal, if he's got the read on Best, is good at doing. He's got the skills to play that sort of style.
Yeah, and if there's going to be anybody in this group that has a read on Best, it's going to be Royal, because both of them were in SK Telecom T1, so they obviously have played tons of games over several years versus each other. And I agree with your statement about the drops, like, especially at high level, pro level play, where they can drop and then instantly push you somewhere else, just pick you apart, it is super hard to deal with. So our first match, actually I have to check what is our first match. I know it's not, is it actually going to be Royal versus Action first? Let me check. I feel like it's Best versus Sharp first.
Yes. So do you know how they pick the maps here? Like each player eliminates a map until a few are left, right?
So the first best of, or the best of one, I think is just preset by Afrika. Then once we get to the best of threes, then they veto a map each, and they can actually veto the same map. And then Afrika does random picks, I think.
Okay, I see.
I could be wrong. Maybe,
so
maybe
negatively choose which map you don't want, basically.
Yeah, maybe they do veto and then pick, but I'm not too sure exactly. We're getting a look at how our groups have gone so far. As you can see, Effort and JYJ out of Group A. We got Rush and Mini out of Group B. Then we got 2 more Zergs out of Group C yesterday. Sulky and Hero really crushed it. And we're really hoping for Best to make it out, simply because there is only one Protoss in the round of 8, and we want to get that racial balance in there. I don't want to just have, potentially one series of Protoss from the round of 8 and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am a diversity enjoyer in StarCraft,
Yeah.
So I would like that.
Yeah. Despite playing ladder and there only being Protoss, I do like to see Protoss players in the ASL just so we can get to see something more than Terran versus Zerg every single round.
I mean, I don't know, like, you seem like... I mean, I think you've got onto this point before, right? Like, when you kind of reach the end of the foreign ladder and you're only playing Koreans, and, like, every other game lags, and you're like, should I quit this game? You know what I mean? Like, you're starting to leave low S and get to mid S. At that point, though, in my experience, you face every race about equally.
Yeah, that is true. It's just when you're stuck in B rank and A rank, it's like you hit Protoss nonstop. It feels like sometimes it's 100% of the time, almost. There are times where I think to myself, man, it would be fun to off-race, and then I remember my off-races are stuck in B rank, and so it turns into, well, do I really want to play PvP? Do I really want to play ZVP?
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. I can hook you up with some PvP stuff, though, if you want. If you want to play that.
Alright, maybe I'll hit you up with some questions then. Well, I'm trying to see if I can understand if any of these statistics here. There's something about trusting the PvT matchup from best, but there's 2 Terrans here, and Royal is especially strong versus Protoss. As far as the rest, I couldn't really translate what they were saying, but to me, this is definitely a really difficult group. I think you pretty much have the aces from almost all the races. Action is way up there. Best is up there. Royal's obviously up there. And as expected, very high win rate for Best. I've been surprised. Consistently, best matchup, though, is actually Protoss versus Zerg. Like, look at it. It's a 60%
I was thinking
win
about
rate.
that. I was like, okay, I'm not going to say this because people are going to laugh at me. But, dude, I'm honestly more impressed by his versus Zerg than his versus Terran these days. Like, I can't deny it. It feels better. It feels stronger. And apparently, I'm right, statistically.
Yeah, I've noticed it for a few seasons that actually Best is just consistently great versus Zerg, but going through the years, you just expected this guy to be great versus Terran. One of the things that I like about Best is when I do watch his stream, he actually experiments quite a bit. Like, I've seen him pull out Disruption Web versus Terran. He's obviously got the Dark Archon play versus Zerg. Like, he's willing to not just play, Gateway Man. He's willing to not just play Corsair, Zealot in PvZ.
All right, that's very interesting. So he's trying to find new styles, Of course, you're not going to bring it out in a tournament unless you really nail it, unless it really makes sense to you and you have a complete model and you believe in it. But I like that. I want to mention, maybe one reason why he's good against Zerg is the metagame has changed a bit. Like, back in the day during the Kespa era, he was considered weak versus Zerg. I mean, not comparatively weak, because he would lose Corsairs and stuff and just fail at playing a management game. Like the stuff Beast is so known for being good at. But now, the meta's changed where it's difficult to expand on maps, so you're playing on 2 bases forever, as Protoss. And Zergs are not taking a fast third with a fourth behind it, because most maps don't allow it, and even on maps where you can do it, they choose not to do it. So it means the way to play Protoss now, forced by the maps, is basically like 2 base, tempo, aggression, which is like how he likes to play versus Terran anyway, right? And so now against Zerg, he gets to play like 2 base, 7, 8, 9 gate with like a Dark Archon, skipping Corsairs, stuff like that. And it feels really up his alley.
Yeah, and that's what he did last season, especially versus Action. Like, almost every game, he was going Dark Archon. So I hope we get to see it again, because it was very effective. Like, every time he casted Maelstrom, he was catching tons of Hydras, being very cost-effective there.
Yeah, you also have to understand that even if the Dark Archon doesn't do much in the game, it basically prevents a Muta switch from just murdering you. So it lets you skip Stargate, it lets you make fewer Corsairs, stuff like that.
That is true. And also, whether you even land the Maelstrom or not, like, the Mutas are going to be careful. You can also get mind control, and I've seen Rain in particular mind control an Overlord. This was a few years ago. It's just a random game that I saw on his stream. He mind controlled an Overlord for vision. So he skipped Robo, and just had overlords as his observer. So that's also something you can do.
Yeah, that's actually like a timeless concept of people. It keeps returning now and then as a niche fringe build at the edge of the pro scene. Okay, here we go. So best versus sharp. And it looks like retro's the first map.
Okay, in the bottom right position, we have our Protoss. It is best. And in the bottom left, our Terran player. It is sharp.
So yeah, the audience is getting pretty hyped. You love to see it. I gotta say, this is a map that nobody should be complaining about that much. It's like a few percentage points favor Protoss in this matchup. Last I checked, but like, it's not a big deal. Really, it's balanced. Like maybe 53, 55 at worst. But I do believe it's quite good for Best's style.
Alright, well, we'll see what he comes up with. In terms of openers, is there a specific opener you're expecting? You think it'll be like forward gate or 12 Nexus, or we just have Pylon in the main and go for a normal opener?
Well, you can really do anything on this map, but I've seen Best do a lot of like not scouting with the probe, not making a zealot, not gas stealing, even on 2-player maps. He just wants the extra cash. This is a 4-player map, of course, not a 2-player map, so you're probably not gonna fast probe scout anyway, but so far we do have a Pylon in the main. And I will not be surprised if he just like doesn't probe scout at all, but we'll see.
Yep, there's the gateway. And
he's gonna get his scout.
Yep, and Royal, he's gonna go for... Okay, I actually thought it was gonna be a low ground barracks. You know, he does go for gasless expand quite often, but this time around, not gonna be the case. Well, at least not yet. Okay, there's the gas.
Alright, so looking like... Well, we don't know if it's going to be a Zealot yet. He's of course going to see the opponent first. So now he's going to know, like, do I want to make a Zealot against this or not? You know, he's really going to know exactly what's going on.
Okay, we've got some probe harassment, and Voddy, can you just sit up slightly closer to your mic?
Yeah.
I have you boosted 200%. It's so awesome.
Okay. How about this?
Well, we can see how it goes. I'll ask chat how it is in a minute or so. So we've got the factory coming down in just a second. Probe being super annoying. Almost gets off a 225 factory, which is insane. I think this must have been an 11 gas because of how quick it was. And Best saw it. So we'll see what his response is going to be.
Yeah, so far it doesn't look like a Zealot. You would have seen a Zealot by 240, so... SCV gonna come in here now. So this, of course, is going to pigeonhole Best down into the path of getting range. Maybe he was gonna do that anyway, but now he essentially has to. And I have to imagine the Dragoon is on the way as well.
Yep, I'm sure the Dragoon is coming. And there it is. It's just on the move right now. Or not right now, that's a probe. What am I thinking? But we are going to have range coming out. What that was range, right? There's the first goon. And we got the typical opener. It's going to be 3 Marines, a Vulture. I see this quite often in Terran versus Protoss these days, and it allows Terran to get some map control with the Vulture. Put a little pressure on, lay mines. There's the Nexus.
Yeah, a one-fact Vulture expansion is definitely the most standard builder. Now, this is interesting. You can actually see that the command center comes down at the same timing. Oh, good chase down, by the way. The SCV comes down at the same timing as the Nexus, which from a Terran perspective is actually really good. Like, that's actually better than what you get a lot of the time. Like, it's basically slight advantage to you if you do that. Now, the way you can do that is this Vulture actually is threatening counterattack, so you can see Best is not attacking with any Dragoons, which means Sharp didn't have to rush a bunker. So that Vulture is actually accomplishing all of that.
Yep, and we do have... Did we have the Robo come down just yet?
Yes.
I think it is in the main, yeah. So standard opener from Best right now. I guess the real question is will he just rush Reaver? Oh, okay. Oh, he actually does get in with a single Vulture, and this is going to deal at least 1 or 2 probe kills. or should. Regardless, he even forces a lot of probes off the line, so already this has been worth its weight right there. That's a lot of mining time.
He only got one probe, but scouting the robotics in the second gateway is so good, dude. Because now he can read, he knows he doesn't have to get turrets for DTs, he knows when, if he ever wants to get them at all, he needs to get turrets. Of course, what he lost was the ability to lay mines, because I have to imagine he's getting spider mines behind us, right, since we saw another Coulter. So he did lose that, but I think it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, definitely worth it. And that is Observatory, so it is just going to be passive opener, wants to get some intel into the Terran base, and we do have the mines set up for a bit of map control as expected. I'm sure that one will be at the third base. And back in Royal's main, I see that big building next to his factory. I assume that's a second factory. That doesn't look like a starport placed building.
Fast second gas too.
Oh yeah, that is true. That's a pretty darn fast natural gas there, so I'm sure he'll be rushing armory. In fact, I'm pretty sure that building behind his mineral line in the main is the armory. And I still don't see support bay anywhere. I don't see any tech from Best, so I imagine a third Nexus should be coming if he's not going to go into higher tech.
Yeah, if he's gonna go for a Reaver, then he'll do it reactively after scouting with the Observer. If he's gonna do it at all, so we'll see.
More mines.
By the way, moving 2 Dragoons into his main, just in case there's a dropship, you know?
Yeah, and that's exactly what you need to do versus someone like Royal, who is definitely a player that will mix in dropship play quite a bit. But so far, we're just seeing pretty much normal play. Mines being set up in the main and in the second. Mines being set up at all bases. Goon's going to clear out those mines, and I'm sure a probe is trailing to put down a third Nexus. Yep, there he is. Vulture was hidden, though. He might be able to snipe it. Oh, there he goes.
Oh, my days.
Oh, can he get it? Oh, this is so painful. And this is a long distance to travel for your third base. So, look at this. He's even got another Vulture
Yeah, he wants to snipe it again.
Yeah, if he snipes it again, this may just trigger Best to completely change up his strategy and go for something like 2 base Arbiter or something, but it would be so late. Look at his minerals, 800 minerals.
Okay, it's gonna be a Reaver follow-up, because what he scouted with the Observer made him think, alright, I can definitely go Reaver against this. And I'm inclined to agree, you know. Although there's going to be a turret ring.
Yep, there's the Nexus.
But yeah, that was a huge snipe there.
Oh yeah, it's massive. He delayed it like 30 to 45 seconds. Like that's huge. Not just delaying the mining, but also delaying production of those additional probes. And we'll see the effects of it in the mid game. There's the mines being set up as expected. This is pretty much what Terran does these days, because drops have become so powerful. You pretty much have to have mines in your base to help defend versus the Zealots and the Reavers. Now the question to me is always, whenever I see shuttles, how many shuttles is it going to be?
Yeah.
Are we going to go mini style where we may have upwards of 5, or is this just 1?
Yeah, and that's actually one of the more, I want to say, puzzling, challenging aspects of playing Terran vs Protoss in the current meta and in general, because you can't really scout how many he's making. So how do you deal with it? Like, it takes a lot of wisdom, a lot of intelligence. There isn't an easy solution to it, you know?
Yeah, that is true. And as far as Terran's build, we've got 3 factory, very standard supplies, very high, and
oh, look at this dude again.
And I don't know why I called Sharp Royal earlier in this cast, but this is definitely not Royal.
Right, this is Sharp.
Yeah. So
he's royally skilled, but
yeah, he is royally skilled. Pretty impressive so far from what I've seen. Everything looks super solid. He's nailing his build. He's going to have his +2 coming in pretty soon. With all this production, already having 3 factories, you know, he has the option to go into a 7-fact timing if he wants, but as I say that...
Oh, there we go.
Yep, we've got the 3rd command center coming down, so he is going to expand.
There still isn't the 4th base, by the way. Like, he sniped that like a minute ago, dude.
Yeah, he's playing really well. He's got mine set up, super harass-oriented right now. Really doing a good job trying to kill the probe whenever he thinks it could be coming. And he's going to intercept, I'm sure, this probe coming down right now. Oh, no, he backs off this time around. Not willing to risk 2 vultures.
Finally, dude.
Yeah, finally, 9.5 minute fourth base. There is the support bay and Citadel. I'm sure Templar Archive should be coming soon. I imagine those buildings at the top side of Best Base are gateways. So we are going to have the flood of gates coming in, and that means that we are probably just going to see Gateway Man with Storm this game, because I still don't see a Stargate anywhere.
Yeah, it's definitely the best style, and this is a pretty good map for it. But yeah, we're gonna see the third base come up for Terran now, and I'm sure Best wants to do something about that. He does have a few shuttles, which are good in a situation like this.
Well, picking off that probe. No probe transfer, so nothing else to really kill there. We're starting to see the supply gap kind of swell up right now. About a 20 supply lead for Best, which I imagine will shoot up pretty high in a second once all of his gateways kick in. We've got a shuttle moving over here. And this is going to be a little bit of annoying to deal with because Reavers on high ground on a ramp, pretty annoying to deal with. So far, he picks off a couple Goliaths and a Vulture. Oh, dropship play. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of times people use a dropship to let their third base get up, basically, because it forces Protoss back to deal with dropships, send units back, and then while they do that, you multitask and you take your expansion. Best, of course, is ordered here with Reavers, so all those Vulture stuff, like maneuvers we were talking about, delaying the expansion, this is basically the Protoss equivalent of that, and he's getting insane value out of this as well.
Well, there's the single tank drop and a couple Vultures that you were talking about. This is going to rack up a lot of probe kills. Best just didn't even try to transfer the probe, so he gets off 2 shots. Not sure exactly how many probes that killed, maybe like 4 or 5. But I gotta say, Sharp's supply has kind of stagnated around the 110, 120 supply mark, whereas Best is getting close to max. In fact, maybe like 1 or 2 more rounds, he's going to max. I don't know about this move. Here he comes. He's going to try and run up the ramp. You got to keep an eye on that command center, actually, because it's super low.
He could snipe it. If he really goes all in for it right now, he could choose to snipe it, but he doesn't look like he's choosing to. He's going for the tanks instead.
Yeah, if he was to get the command center, it's obviously a big pickoff, but it may backfire because you got to remember, Sharp still has 7 factories built in his main. He could just counter.
Yeah, so instead, Best is going to go for the guaranteed value, which is to just take out a lot of units and delay the expansion more. And that he's certainly doing. This is horrible, actually.
Yeah, I thought Terran was going to hold, and then all of a sudden he lost everything, including almost his command center. And what looked like a great opener from Sharp, especially denying the third base and fourth base for so long, all of a sudden, Best is completely in the driver's seat, and Sharp is the one struggling to get the third base.
Yeah, and you know what set all of that up? Those 2 Reavers, because they prevented Sharp from taking control of the high ground, and what he wanted to do is lay mines, but he wasn't able to have any mines for the fight because the Reavers had been there zoning out Vultures the entire time. And if you don't have mines in a fight like this, it's basically like not using Storm on your Templar. Like, you're just not using the unit.
We got a Vulture run by to top right. A lot of probes. Gonna get killed here. We're gonna force the probe pull. He's gonna deny the 5th base, but he did trade a lot of Vultures with this. So I'm not sure if this was actually worth, but at least the mines are gonna connect, kill a decent amount of Zealots, gets a couple more probe kills also, and he's gonna clean up these Zealots. So now all of a sudden this is definitely worth.
Yeah, it's a great move to kill units with Vultures like that. It's just that he doesn't have a third behind it, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, he's desperately got to get this base. Okay, well, he popped one of the Reavers. That's good for him. Still waiting to land that command center, though. We're approaching almost 15 minutes into the game. That's almost a dried up main at that point. Yeah, look how close we are getting to being mined out. So he desperately needs to secure this.
Yeah, Best is just playing a good containment game. Basically containing Terran, you know. Not letting me get this base.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you should be doing on this map. Just delay, delay, delay while you take your side of it. But we still don't see a 5th base from Best. It's not that he needs one, but I was expecting to see one by now. Regardless, Sharp's now pretty damn high in supply, and he's going to be getting into 3-2 pretty soon. His 2-1 was really quick. This has got to be Storm Drop, right? Oh, there it is. There's so many SCVs, and he's going to get almost every single one. That may just put Sharp all in with a massive counterattack.
Yeah, that mineral line was just smitten by a storm god. So, and he's mining out in his main. Like, normally when Terran gets a third, you're thinking as Protoss, alright, next stage of the game is coming. I gotta deal with the 3-base Terran, you know, gotta deal with the Doom Push. But here, Terran is gonna still be 2-base. He's been so bruised that he's never gonna get the 3 bases. So really, Best doesn't need to get anything more than Storm this game. He's got this.
Yeah, he's in a dominating position. I guess the one thing I didn't check to see is what his best upgrades. Okay, that's not great. +1 weapon versus a Terran that's soon going to have 3-2. Protoss is going to get absolutely melted if there's ever a max versus max army in the center of the map somewhere. But not sure if that's going to happen because Sharp's going to have to take a long time to rebuild his econ. Oh, there's +2.
Unit upgrades are indeed the one advantage. The one advantage that Sharp has in this game. But, you know, upgrades don't care about Storm. Armor doesn't work on it, so if you have enough Templar, you can just Storm everything.
Yeah, and speaking of Templar, there they are. We've got 4 popping out right now. Best is max, and you know that means that he wants to do something with this army. He's one of the most aggressive players, one of the most on top of his multitask players in the scene right now. And there's the quadruple shuttle. So he's got his eyes set on the main, maybe? Here he goes. Just straight Zealot Bomb into the main. I don't know about that type of drop, but here we go, funneling through the choke. There's not that many mines, but you can see the power of the upgrades kick in. And meanwhile, we've got a Vulture counterattack.
Even in a game like this, when Terran is getting demolished, you can see, you know, the potential exploitable weakness of the style. When you bring everything to the front, you can lose the counterattacks.
Yeah, and this is a big loss for him because I've seen a lot of games from Best. It's not that he has a low probe count, but a lot of times he's hovering around like 55, 60 probes. And if you lose any, and now lose 2 bases worth of probes, his econ has really been reset. And look at his supply now. We've got 155 to 155, and actually, both players are very low on money, but obviously the army is going to favor Terran.
Yeah, he really absorbed that attack quite decently, and the counterattack was huge too. And you're right, Best likes to play around, like with this style in general. You sit around the lowest possible. Oh my days, oh my gosh. Another massive probe transference, knowing that because he cleared out that base, or I don't know if he knew this actually, but in any case, he's getting this.
Dude, this game got completely turned on its head. He also has set up mines in this, or he did set up some mines. Best is well known for not having the best use of observers, but this time around, he's doing a good job to clear out the mines. But if Terran goes and attacks top right, that's almost all of the econ of Best. Like, look at the natural of Best. There is 1 probe there. In the main, there is 0 probes.
This is such a classic Sharp maneuver where, okay, this is like pure tactics. Okay, so he counterattacked at the perfect time, which drew Protoss back. When Protoss had no presence in the middle, he was allowed to push and establish this insanely dominant position on the bridge.
I think
right, normally you want to storm Terran as he moves, but Terran was able to move freely now.
I think actually Sharp has done it. I can't even believe it. This drop, okay, he needs God tier storms, but not his single storm gets off. I can't believe no storms got off. And look at supplies of Best, they have plummeted.
Dude, this is such a classic Sharp comeback. He always gets smashed all game, and then does like one perfect fight. Perfect tactics, perfect execution. I mean, he really knew, he expected that storm drop. That's why he kept a bunch of vultures back there, so he could snipe the Templar as they came up, right?
Holy smokes. And this game's over now, because Best just doesn't have money. There's no way he can fight this army. Terran's 3-2. He's splitting off tanks now. There's not even that much production at top right. It's what, 4 gate? I don't even know what's flying towards mid left. It's obviously shuttles, but what's in it? It can't be much. If he gets the probes. Oh my god.
Yeah, he got a few of them. Okay, here we go. Big counterattack from the Protoss. But I don't know, man. You can just lift the command center and take it back later.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have to.
He didn't get off a storm. His Zealots didn't kill a single unit. And Best, look at his reaction on the camera. He knows that he let this game slip.
You know, if he had just, after getting into that good position, just sit there hashtagging an arc,
yeah,
he would have won this game.
He would have. He would have. Like, he did such a good job to prevent Terran from exploding in terms of econ, like with a 3rd base, 4th base. Like, Terran was about to be mined out not just in their main, but also their natural. So it's really a Terran on 1 base. Are you really scared of Terran on 1 base? Not really, as long as you've just got a billion bases yourself. But actually, Best is not out of it. Like, Sharp has not continued to push the main, which I thought he would do. So there's still 10 gates remaining. Best is still mining on 2 bases with top right and his natural up there.
Yeah, so of course there's a 1-base Terran now versus a 2-base Protoss essentially. And I mean, I have to say that favors Protoss a little bit if this keeps going, but we do have a command center ready to float somewhere, and Sharp wants to keep the initiative here, so I mean, if he's allowed to get into a good position with mines, with siege tanks and stuff.
Voddy, look at the gas of Best. He's not mining gas. So it is pure zealots.
Oh, dude, he doesn't have an assimilator.
Yeah.
He literally doesn't have one.
This is one thing that I've noticed about Best. If you guys ever wonder how Best has so many units, watch his games. What he does is he always obviously gets his main and natural gas, but he rarely gets a 4th or a 5th gas. He always just stays very low on gas because he doesn't ever take them.
Yeah, center base is a good pick here. So 2 base versus 2, I mean, that's good for Terran. Even though it's like, you know, half a base in the middle, it's still really good.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a great scenario, especially when Protoss has only zealots. We're gonna have another shuttle bomb.
Look at how ready he is for this dude. He knows.
Brace is ready, vultures are ready. There's a vessel here which could EMP. This is just really not a strong counter drop here. We're gonna have zealots in the middle. Now that's a good trade. He's gonna trade zealots for tanks. This may shut down that base, especially if the storm
drop emitter.
Actually, what's going on here? The Zealot shuttle bomb actually did more damage than I was expecting. That's a good storm. Softens up a lot of the tanks. Supplies are back to even 100 to versus about 85 right now.
I thought it would storm those SCVs, but he just killed some units, and that's fine for Sharp, really. You know?
Yeah, Best's not out of it just yet, though. He still needs to get a better comp than pure Zealot. He needs to mix in at least some Dragoons. Oh, is he really going to tap out? There he goes! He taps out, and that means that Sharp, he is going to move on into our winners match.
I gotta tell you, dude, Sharp is definitely back now. He's definitely good. Like, I had a feeling because he was doing good. He was killing good players in sponsored team games. But this is classic Sharp, man. This is always how he does when he's good. This is how he wins. Like, spend all game getting smashed, pull off a perfect tactical fight, and win.
I guess I've never realized that in Sharp's games, but man, Best, he was just in such a good position. And then that single vulture attack into the natural just drew everything into one area. And then Terran just slammed him. He also didn't get off a single storm with his drops. It literally couldn't have gone worse for Best there.
Yeah, that one vulture thing, it really set everything up. It was such a cumulative effect from that because... like, it's already, on its own, a good thing to do against this style. You know, you counterattack when you get attacked. You leave just enough to absorb the attack, and you counterattack with everything else. Because you know Protoss won't have everything at home. But then, it also causes Protoss to pull back, which lets him push across the map, which gave him that great fight at the bridge there. Yeah, where he also, you know, was ready for the flanking Templar and just kept the units off cooldown, so they were ready to snipe the Templar as they came out.
Yeah, and this is the move that I was talking about. Actually, Best had a really good probe count this game, 68 probes, so his econ was ridiculous. So this was like a like, this move had to do devastating amounts of damage for Sharp to come back into the game, and he did. Like, I'm curious what the probe count is after this. It's got to be around 40. I guess Best has a ton of probes at mid-right, because it's still pretty sizable at around 50. Regardless, there are a lot of Sharp fans in the crowd. You can see a couple of them right now. We're going to be going into a break in just a moment, and then we'll be back with our second match, which is going to be Royal versus Action. It's going to be a rematch, I think, from 2 seasons ago. So that's going to be quite exciting. Don't go anywhere. All right, we are back. We're going to be going into our second match in just a moment, which is going to be Action versus Royal. We just had a really strong comeback from Sharp. Best looked like he was going to have the game, but a single Vulture play, then comboed with a massive attack from Sharp, seals the deal for him. And now we're getting into a TVZ, and it's again going to be on Retro.
Yeah, it seems like Retro's the first map here. Afrika usually picks the first map in some of these, it seems like. And then later on, in like the subsequent games, you're allowed to veto or choose.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, Retro, TVZ, I think this is a good Terran map. Unlike other maps like Sylphid or Eclipse, where the third bases only have one ramp, which can be hard to bust, at least on Retro there are multiple ramps, so it makes play a little bit easier for Terran to bust. It also means that most likely we're going to see Action take another main or a low ground natural. So I don't think Terran really, or I don't think Royal here really needs to worry about what I consider one of Action's strongest builds, which is the pool first into double expand 3 bases.
Right, yeah, I mean, you were saying there are 2 ramps. So if you do an on location third hatchery, right, on your third base, it's okay on this map, because you can make a sunken, and it kind of covers the ramp a little bit. But it's not as good on like Eclipse, you know, or something like that, or Sylphid. So
Yeah.
definitely an option, but, you know, he might go for it. He might. As for the map in general, I mean, it started out at like 50% TBC. Now it's like 53, 54, I think, last I checked in this matchup. So it's pretty balanced, but like, you know, a little bit Terran favored maybe. And one thing I think a lot of Terrans like, especially in the current meta game, is that there aren't that many bases for Zerg to take, right? So it's not like, you know, Vermeer or, which is actually a Terran favorite map. But anyway, it's not like, I don't know, Polypoid or something. Like, if you take half the map, there's not that much more for Zerg to take, right? It's a low map base, and that really helps when you're playing SK Terran all game, when you're not trying to go like, you know, fast mech transition and play these huge macro fests. You really want to keep the game state small to play bio, because it gets out of hand otherwise.
Yeah, that is true, and he's gonna. I'm looking at Royal stats there. Did you see that? Almost a 7% win rate versus Zerg. So Action, he's gonna need to pull out something special here, because this guy's clearly a beast in this matchup.
Yeah, that's a yikes. That's like some final boss energy right there.
Yeah, that is definitely a yikes for sure. We're approaching Flash level of win rates in that particular matchup. So it looks like our players are ready. We're going to be getting into the game in just a moment. Yikes. I love that word, man. Well, we're ready. Let's get into game 1 of our second series of the day. It is going to be Action versus Royal on Retro. Okay, in the top right position, we have our Teal Zerg. It is Action. And in the bottom right, we have our Terran player. It is Royal.
So on these spawning locations, Zerg is obviously not going to scout the Terran natural. And some Terrans like to take a little bit of a risk here and do a build order behind a wall in, and then hope the Zerg, you know, isn't in a position where they can see that you don't actually take your natural, right? So like a 2-port Wraith. We've actually seen 2-port Wraith on this map do really well, so I mean that is an option. You could wall off and do that in these positions. But it is a risk, because you don't know where the Zerg is. If the Zerg is in the bottom left, he's actually going to see that you're not expanding. And then it's not going to be as strong.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of that particular style that you're saying right now, and I know Royal is definitely someone that will do that. However, is this a racks timing or a depot timing? It is going to be a depot timing, so we're not going to have the 8 racks with the floated racks back into position. We're looking at, if you see in the bottom right corner, the highest Zerg versus Terran and highest Terran versus Zerg win rates. Royal at the top, meanwhile Action was in second place for the ZVT, so both players really stellar in this particular matchup, and both players looking to make it into the round of 8, especially Royal, because last season he kind of bombed out, but Action really wants to get into the round of 8 again. for the second time in a row. And is this 14 CC?
Wow, dude. Yes, it is. It is Command Center first, so... Alright. Okay, Command Center first is like a little bit of a busted builder, okay? If you don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
You just get like a huge advantage, and game theory-wise, okay, he's gonna get a drone scout at least, that's good, but it's too late to really do anything about it. The thing about it is that the Zerg equivalent is like 3x before pool, which 1-Rax expansion can actually punish if you scout it. But 12 hatch cannot punish CC first, you have to go pool first, so...
That is totally true. And look at this, we do get a first scout of the drone, and that may mean, well, I see in the main of action he's already built the pool, but I was thinking maybe he could 3-hatch before pool here. Oh, can he get a, he might get that SCV. Oh, it got in! Oh, he is just gonna leave now, I think.
By the way, he's not going for the complete wall-in, which you can do on this map, but he actually wants to leave a little gap. And the more I've played, the more I've come to favor this style too, because it lets you walk out and in with SCVs to scout and stuff. You don't have to lift the barracks all the time.
Yeah.
But you still have the protection of a wall.
Yeah, that is true. Players like Ample really love this type of move. More and more players are doing stuff like this, and speaking of more and more players doing specific builds, this is a 3-hatch from action. Not really a shocker since it's a 14 CC, but it's something that I have noticed in the past few seasons. More and more players are doing. In the past, it used to be only Shine playing 3-hatch.
Yeah.
But now, like, I've seen Zero or Queen pull it out. We're seeing Action pull it out.
Yeah, I think that's really the future and the present, I have to say, of 3-hatch is the 3rd hatch on the base. That makes 3-hatch good again. Because the old 3-hatch is kind of obsolete. It's just weaker now. But this 3-hatch, this is pretty good.
Yep, and we do have the SCV confirming the 3rd hatch at top middle, so despite all of the stuff I was saying before the game started about how the 3rd hatch at a middle base is a little bit harder for Zerg to defend, Action feels like he's going to have no issues with that, and we do have him, of course, going into Lair. We do have a 2-Rax from Royal. He's not rushing eBay like I've seen a lot of Terran players do lately.
Yeah, so 2-Rax Academy off of Command Center first so far. This is definitely playable for Zerg, but getting the scout is good, by the way. This is huge. Did he get the lair, do you think? Well, I mean, you have to assume a lair is coming, because he saw no lair in the 3rd, no lair in the natural, so obviously there's a lair in the main, right?
Yeah, I guess we technically don't know, but if I'm playing a Zerg that doesn't have a lair, as long as I'm not getting Hydra all in right now, I feel like I've just been given a gift, you know? Like, how could I possibly lose, especially with a wall? So, I'm pretty sure you can just assume that lair is up.
Yeah. Another thing is, like, when you go Academy fast, it gives you the option of getting scans, obviously, right? He's not doing it now because he scouted so much he feels he can make more SCVs instead. But the thing is, when you scout all positions except for one, it makes it so that you only have to scan in one position. And so, you know, that's actually very valuable too. Now, he's choosing not to scan anyway because he scouted almost everything, so he's pretty confident, you know, there's not a Hydra and back in the one spot he didn't scout.
Yeah.
And therefore making more SCVs instead.
Well, we've got the Marine Medic move out. Yesterday we saw, was it Ample, close up the wall with just a single fire bat. We've got an extremely fast factory, by the way, from Royal. Like, this is a 5-minute factory. It doesn't get
this is a good counterattack, though.
Yeah, this is a huge move from Action here. This draws the units back into the main, and when he comes in here and sees that the eBay isn't even done, he's gonna know that, hey, this guy must have rushed factory, so he's gonna know exactly what's going on. He's losing Marines left and right.
This is actually so huge, dude. Not only the damage he's causing, the delays he's causing, but more drones behind this, by the way, so he's getting back into this game, but also seeing the fast factory, because you know now. You know there's not going to be like a 4 or 5 racks play. You know there might be a tank push, there might be fast vessel, fast valk, so you don't actually have to make, you know, that many sunkens as you would otherwise.
Yeah, if I was Action after seeing this, I would do that, put down a macro hatch. I would also, if I'm going to build mutas, I would get armor. A lot of players go for a weapon, but, you know, they kind of do that blind. But armor versus Valkyrie, which I'm going to assume is what it is a great counter to Valkyries. And even if they don't go Valkyries, like let's say they go Vessels, is it like a really big waste of having armor? Not really, because if there's BCs later in the game, that's also going to help you. So overall, this was an amazing move from Action here, and
It was huge, yeah.
it actually is Vessels. So
Okay, we got some Mutalisks coming out, and yeah, it's looking like it's gonna be 2-port Vessel. Like, it could have been a lot of stuff. Another attack, dude.
I don't think this game could go worse for Royal. After getting a 14 CC,
Right, yeah,
like
it's not looking like it now, you know?
yeah, this 14 CC, anytime you get a 14 CC and it doesn't get punished, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, maybe it's not necessarily a free win, but I've got a massive lead. But now this is like a free win for Action because of how much damage he's done with, what, 12 lings or so?
Yeah, not the full 9 Mutas coming in because he was droning so hard, but like, there are no turrets, my friend.
Yeah,
this is it.
He's been disrupted so much, I think he just forgot to build turrets. Like, he built one, but there's no way you're surviving off of one, right? So this may just be game-ending damage. Like, what can Royal do? He's pulling his entire SCV line. The Marines are kind of body blocked by the barracks and the barracks placement. There's no turrets to help support. There's a vessel coming. But Voddy, do you see that science facility upgrading Irradiate? Because I don't, so the vessel can't even help you.
Yeah, wow, dude. Those lean counterattacks, man. So why was he out there with nothing? Well, okay, you have to understand, like, there was like a narrow window, okay, before like more units would pop out, and he had the gap close to the wall, and he would be fine. And in that tiny vulnerability, that's when Action came in. So, you know, it wasn't like, I mean, Royal took like a tiny little risk and got madly punished for it.
Yeah, this was just absolute masterclass, pure disaster for Royal, and we're going to see the GG any moment because there's no hope stopping this. Like I said, there's the Irradiate now upgrading, but it's too late, man. You needed that like a minute ago. We've got SCVs just getting completely wiped off the map. There it is, GG. And Action, he easily stomps through Royal.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be out against Zerg. You know, you gotta be on the map, you gotta be doing stuff. But you can't go out too far, because then, you know, you overextend.
Yeah, I guess the one thing, if I was Royal here, as far as mentality, I guess the one thing that you can at least say is, it wasn't just one mistake where sometimes, you know, like, oh man, if I just didn't do that one thing, I would have been in a good position. There were like 5 or 6 things where he just got crushed on. So it was just a complete disaster, and he just completely fell apart. It wasn't like he just made one tiny mistake and lost. It was just complete domination. But he's going to need to be more solid in the following matches, especially versus Best, who's great versus Terran. And regardless of who comes out of the winner's match now, whether it's Action, who's great, ZVT, which we've just seen, or Sharp. Sharp is amazing Terran versus Terran. So
Yeah.
it's going to be very hard for anybody coming out of the loser's match to actually get through.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing some upsets now. I mean, nobody would have predicted this. Okay, Sharp over Best, nobody except for me, maybe, would have predicted that. And then here, Action versus Royal. I mean, not really what people would expect.
No, I really do like Action, but one of the things that I like about Royal is when you play Royal, he's got so many versatile builds. He's not just a bio player. He can pull out the 2-port Wraith. He can pull out 111. He can pull out Mech. He can do every single build. So when you play versus him, you've got to be on top of your game versus like 7 different styles. Like, he's super dangerous in TVZ.
That is totally true. Every style that is like known to man right now versus Zerg, he is proficient in.
Yeah. And this is where it all started. The 6-ling counterattack. If he had built a Firebat there, this doesn't happen. But once this started happening, he loses Marines. He loses Marines at the natural. He loses, like, he gets in and scouts everything. Like, everything's just a complete disaster after this.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little greedy, I think. He could have waited for, you know, another Marine to pop out with that wall clog. That would have been okay. He could have had a Firebat. That would have been okay. But even here, like, the game is not over at this point. Like you were saying, there were further mistakes after that also.
Yeah, it's just all fell apart, pretty much. Like you said, like, why was he out in the center of the map? Like, it's different when you have 4 racks or 5 racks, because you at least have production. You know that when you're sitting out in the center of the map, you're going to sync up a second group in like a few seconds because, you know, you've got 12 more coming out pretty soon. But with 2 racks, he just, like, that's his entire army for like the next, you know, 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But we're going to be...
He wanted to force Sunkens, I guess. But yeah, it was a little greedy. I mean, it was a risk. Sometimes you take risks and you get away with them, and it's good. But he definitely did not get away with it that time.
Well, you were talking about, you're the only one that knows how strong Sharp is. What do you think about his shot versus action? I mean, I guess we can't really judge action skill from the last game simply because it just ended so quickly, but you think Sharp is going to have a good showing versus action?
Okay, so when Sharp is good, he is like top 4 ASL level, final level, even amazing. But he's not always good. So he's like good when he's got his game figured out. He enters slumps, is good. Right now, it's looking like he's kind of good, which means he can definitely beat Action. But Action could also beat him.
Okay, I agree with that sentiment too, because I don't remember Sharp very well from the old Kespa days, but after he started streaming on Twitch and after seeing his game versus Flash on Neo Ground Zero, which was epic, by the way, if you guys can find that on YouTube, he was really put on my radar. But one of the things that I did notice from him was, like you said, when he's on his game, amazing. But when he's off the game, very off the game. Like, I remember watching him versus Jadong and just getting absolutely crushed in some Fighting Spirit games.
Yeah, some people's brains work that way, where they need to have like a complete model, you know. And until they have that, they just don't have anything. But then as soon as they get it, it's all online. He seems like that kind of player to me.
Yeah, and
He's given by his results.
And there have been players like that in the past, where I think in the T1 days, there's a player named Kanata who was apparently just beast mode and offline. But as soon as it came to online, something just triggered for him where he was just not on top of his game and couldn't really translate his offline play into his online play into offline results. But looks like Sharp's playing well today, at least. I mean, when he knew he had his moment versus best, he capitalized on it. He wasn't slow on the gun.
Yeah, that was just classic vintage premium Sharp. Another reason, by the way, that some players get good and then get bad, their skillable wanes, is that StarCraft's actually always changing. Yep. Even though there hasn't been a balance patch since 2001, the game is always changing because of 1, new maps, and 2, just a meta game. And so there might be a meta game that you're very proficient at, and then another one where you just can't figure it out, you know?
Yep, that's true. And we're going into a break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes. And we are back. We're going to be going into our winners match in just a second, which is going to be Sharp versus Action. Sharp had a good comeback versus Best, and Action just had a complete domination over Royal. Just everything went wrong for him. And of course, Sharp got to see that game, so he'll know. Don't 14cc this guy, and if you do 14cc, at least go Fire Bat as a follow-up in your wall.
Yeah, I mean the 14cc worked. To be fair, it's just he died despite it after.
Yeah, everything just went wrong for Royal. I think his build was interesting. It's not often that I see players rush factories that quickly. Usually they go like 3 racks at least and then start teching. So it was like a low racks count, low marine medic count, high or very quick tech build.
Yeah. It was like, I just want to get to the vessel stage and start irradiating, you know?
Yeah. Because if you can get vessels out that quickly, all of a sudden, instead of having 4 vessels at 11 minutes, which is when defilers pop out, you probably have something like 8, maybe 10 vessels. And the defiler can't just save you at that point because you're going to be able to irradiate just billions of lurkers over and over and over.
Yeah, it's a good style for when you want to play like a macro SK Terran game, which again, that's a good map for, because there aren't that many bases to take. And if you take a close third, the 4th base isn't that easy either.
Yeah, that is true. So we've got a Polypoid ban and a Tempest ban, and that leaves us with Invader and Dark Origin and Apocalypse. Not sure if this is our first Terran versus Zerg on Invader, but it feels like one of the few. So I'm excited for this map in particular. Players are ready. Let's get into game 1. And in the top left, coming off a solid win versus Royal, it is Action. And in the bottom right, our Terran player, it is Sharp.
Yeah, this is a bit of an insane map. It tends to produce insane games in ZBT because you can maneuver around and constantly attack. So like, Zerg puts down a swarm in one area, you walk around, you attack another base. I mean, look at the expansion layout here, you know. Every expansion, except for the 3rd, I guess, is really attackable, and you can really maneuver, walk around everything, which means Zerg is just gonna send links, you know, sneak in like a lurker under swarm somewhere, and Terran's just gonna walk around constantly radiating, you know, constantly poking everyone until you make a mistake, until you don't have swarm somewhere and you die, right?
Well, this could be an 8 racks. Instead, it is just going to be the depot. It's going to be depot, racks, depot, I imagine, for some type of semi-wall here. Interesting feature of Invaders, we've got the entrance at the front, and as you can see, there's also the side ramp. So 2 angles of attack.
Yeah, he's going for the SimCity here. Of course, he can't really wall fully because of the eggs and the 2 entrances, obviously, but he might be choosing... Actually, I'm not sure what he's going to do, but we'll see. Might just wall off one and defend the other.
Yeah, he can even put a depot below that racks to have a semi-wall, similar to what we had last game with Royals positioning of the racks and depot. We've got a 12 hatch from Action. A bit of a delayed... Well, actually, it's a normal timing SCV scout, but not fast enough to delay the hatchery.
Yeah, sometimes on 2-player maps, Terran users will either send an SCV very early to delay the hatchery, or very late, because they know they're gonna scout first, so they don't need to send it early. They get more cash that way, but here we're seeing like a standard 4-player map timing.
Yep, and we've got drone versus SCV.
Oh, good micro here.
Yeah, it's good micro from both sides, but in the end, there's only one unit here that's got range, and that's the drone. And the SCV is going to have to run away, so he doesn't even get into the main. Which is...
That hurts a bit.
Yeah, it's critical because
yeah.
There's so many 3-hatch openers, and there's so many 2-hatch and 2.5 openers these days. You really got to know what the Zerg's doing.
Yeah, that's actually, you know, the reason you would send an SCV this relatively early on a 2-player map and not delay it is because you want to get in the main, but then he didn't even get in the main, so ouch.
Why did he even go this way with the SCV? He got away from the drone. He could have gone to bottom left and escaped that way, but instead kind of gifts off an SCV there, and
yeah. Maybe he was checking, wanted to check a third base, maybe? Because you could do 3-hatch on this map, you know, with an on location on the ramp, and then just sunken it up.
Yeah, that is true. Since he didn't get into the main to confirm the gas timing, he may have thought, like, oh, this drone's out here to take third base, which you definitely don't want to allow Zerg to take for free.
So remember how last TVC we saw, the scans were delayed because there was some scouting anyway? This is like a game where you either have to rush scans, or just guess, and if you guess wrong, you die. Those are your two options here.
Yeah, and it can be tricky because if you don't rush scans and they actually go for a lurker bust and you even blow one scan, the lurkers could already be at your natural and you're just stuck with one scan, which obviously is not enough to save you.
Yeah, that's why he's scouting at least the natural, because now he knows he doesn't have to scan the natural because there's nothing here. So he only has to scan the main at this point.
Well, look at
we
this.
have some cheeky Marines coming in too, but there are 6 links here. He's not taking a risk, he's not being greedy, so this could actually be hugely good for Zerg, killing all these Marines.
The last 2 pair of lings popped out right after the SCV left, so what he thought was a 4v4 ends up being a 6v4, and the lings get a lot of damage done.
But at least he gets an SCV in at the same time, which is an effect of that attack he did. So he's going to see what's going on now.
Yep, gets to confirm that it is Spire, so it's great for him. In his main, or in Sharp's main I mean, I don't see a big building for the eBay. That means that this was not a +1 rush. It is just going to be normal 2 Racks Academy again.
Yeah, I think if you're going 1 Racks for that long, you're probably not going to be that cavalier with your Marines, as he was, so... At least he's got that 2 Racks.
Yep, and there's the 3rd hatch at the 3rd base, top middle, so everything looks pretty normal to me. And because he lost those 4 Marines, it's going to be hard for him to get out onto the map and feel confident.
Yeah. So that means no Sunkens forced by action. He actually doesn't have to make Sunkens now, as insane as that sounds. So
yeah.
He can make another macro hatch instead, maybe, or something.
If he wants, yeah, and there's the fast comsat like you were saying, and we do have the Firebat and Medic moving out right now. There are no lings at the top side to go for an instant counterattack, but look what Action's doing. He's hiding a couple lings. Now he'll try and run by, and the purpose of this is obviously to get any straggler Marines, which he might, but really to get in there and see what he's facing against. And he's going to see such a late 3rd Racks that this is really not a difficult build for Action to stop. Like, there's no units that can pressure him, really.
Yeah, Action in a very comfortable, dominating even position so far. Every game, by the way, he destroys with early lings.
Yeah.
That seems to be a thing of his.
Even with just 2 lings, he's disrupting the build order quite a bit. Turrets are delayed. Factories, I would say delayed, since there's only 3 barracks in total. You would expect a factory to at least be started by now.
Yeah, you want an earlier factory if you're not going, 3-4 racks +1, obviously. You would want that. I mean, you can go to Rex Academy into more barracks. That is a thing you can do, I suppose, but... it's gonna lose this depot even. Just not looking good. It's gonna supply block him, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, this is one of the downsides of building the wall, is that your depots are exposed if you don't have control over the map. But I will say this. I would prefer to know that I'm going to lose a depot over losing SCVs in my mineral line. If you want to go kill a depot and waste 15 seconds, I will take that trade gladly if you're not killing my SCVs. But we've got mutants.
Yeah, it's difficult maybe if you're not used to it, but overall the ability to wall on the map is good for Tarrant. It is good to do. It's just that he lost his Marines, so he wasn't able to defend the wall. He was behind, but if everything goes according to plan, it is a net positive.
Well, speaking of unable to defend, this natural got breached. Double turrets got killed. We do have a move out, but this is not a scary army. And Action knows that it's only 3 barracks, so how many Marines could it actually be, especially after you killed 4 of them in the early game? So I imagine if he can just get out a cycle of lings from all of his hatches, this push should just be shut down, or he can just kill everything with mutas, Voddy.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, he's just so far ahead. He's just picking him apart. It's looking like Korean versus Foreigner right now,
It's true. Like, this is looking very reminiscent to last game, where there's just not a lot of stuff, or not a lot of bio for Sharp, and he's just going to get blasted by Mutaling potentially. I will say this though, if Action does keep committing to Mutiling and he trades poorly, he will be in trouble because there's no Hydra Den, there's no Hive, there's no Evolution Chamber.
Yeah, of course, he will eventually have to go Lurker. Well, I mean, he could go Crazy Surge, I guess, if he wants, but so far, you know, he's killing it right now, man.
Yeah.
Like, if he clears out these turrets, then, like this, he can just counter forever. This is a winning position right here of the mineral line. Just stay here all game.
Yeah, how do you engage into this? Like, he doesn't have turrets at the backside. Oh my gosh, Factory's not even done. Now it just completes, so there's no chance of there being Vessels or Valkyries for an eternity. You just can just reign supreme over this mineral line forever.
You know, he was really scouting that, and he was like, okay, we got 4 links only, we got 4 links, alright, good, we're going. And then as soon as he left, 2 more links came out.
And he's building up a huge mute account. Yep, there's even more. So he wants to end this game with just mass muta, and this is the perfect move. Like, Sharp doesn't have upgrades on his Marines, I don't think. +1 weapon, I mean. He can't really engage in the +1 muta, that's for sure. Turrets are not helping that much either. The main's completely open! That turret's gonna die. And Sharp, he's just gonna counter. He knows that he can't hold this.
Yeah, we don't have Sunkens, so that is one thing. At least, so he might have to turn around here, actually.
Yeah, he is going to turn around. Our Armory coming down, so he is going to try and transition this into Valkyrie play. Action isn't too concerned with this small army. He's just still microing these mutas in the natural. I guess he feels like his rally point can defend this incoming attack.
Yeah, he's got enough units, apparently. We don't know what that is on the map, but I'm assuming it's muta. Okay, yeah. It's mutiling. So he's got enough to just defend it anyway without turning around.
I like how Action saw he got scanned and he knows that Sharp's retreating. He's like, hey, wait a minute, where are you going? No. It's time to fight.
Where you going, buddy?
Get over here. And so he's going to just kill everything. And there it is, GG. Obliteration again.
Dominant game, dude. Action is just destroying Terran.
I'm sure he's confused at what's going on because not that he's winning, but the fact that we've seen back-to-back games where Terran players really just have not had a high racks count. Like, there was only 3 this game.
Yeah.
And this game, it also didn't even have fast tech. So Action's probably like, well, wait a minute, what was the game plan here? Because you didn't have fast tech, you didn't have a lot of units. What was the actual overall play?
Yeah, Action hasn't really had to reveal his plan or style yet, because, I mean, he's revealed that he kills you with links, fair enough. But that's quite a low-risk thing to do, you know? Like, you don't lose the game if your links don't work out when you make that few of them. So, would he go Hydra Lurker Defiler? Would he go Ultra? You don't even know what he's bringing to the table.
Yeah, and Action, he's now going to be going on to Dark Origin. I think I remember last season's Terrans, I was going to say not doing that well, but I'm trying to think how many games.
Yeah, the old Dark Origin was 55% in both anti-Terran maps. So CVP 55, CVT 55, PVT 55. Now, it's a new map, we don't really know yet. There aren't that many games on it, so we'll see how this ends up being.
Yep.
But that's how it used to be.
All right, in the bottom right, our Red Zerg 1 game away from making it out. It is Action. And in the top left, our Blue Terran, it is Sharp. I imagine we're probably going to have the walled entrance again. I've seen it consistently on this map.
Yeah, again, even on the top position where the Marine spawns outside, you can do the thing where you have like a little gap. And it's still pretty good. So probably indeed we will see a wall, I have to imagine.
Yep, but we have seen some players wall off their main actually and go for a one base play. I think JYJ pulled that out in the round of 24. So you also got to consider, wow, that is an essay on there.
Well, do we have time to read that even? Okay, they're letting us read it for a while, but now we can't see the whole thing, so no. Not really.
I don't know if this is a meme or what the issue is, but every time they cut to that guy, the guy's talking to the other person.
Yeah. I think he's like being a commentator to his mates, maybe like explaining everything.
Yeah. Well, there's the low ground depot, so we are going to have the wall off again. Meanwhile, Action just opening with Overlord per usual. Imagine this will be another 12 hatch.
Okay, yeah, barracks, and no command center first again.
Oh,
Oh, okay. So this, what is this, like 12 pool, right?
yeah, this is 12 pool, 11 pool, something like that. I guess he suspects that this could be an 8 rack.
So the thing about 12 pool is, I wanted to talk about this, but I didn't get the time during the command center first game. If you're a Zerg and you're like, well, gee, what do I do about command center first? Because you're thinking, I gotta go pool first to stop it, but 9 pool is bad against 1 racks. So you're like, how do I deal with this? Well, the solution is actually, you need a build order that's good against command center first, but also good against 1 racks, right?
Yeah.
And that build order is 12 pool, because what 12 pool gives you is the fastest possible 6 Mutalisks, if you want to go for that, while still having you, giving you the option to make early links to kill a command center first.
Yeah, well, I actually like 12 pool. If you can pull it off, what I like about it is, well, maybe not on this map, because it's a 2-player map and the SCV is going to scout you very quickly, but on other maps that are 4-player, for example, if you 12 pool, you're not likely to get scouted first, right? So you can get links out by the time you get 2nd scouted or 3rd scouted, and then Terran's stuck in the dark trying to figure out, okay, is this guy ling all-ending me? Is he lurker busting me? What is this exactly? But he does get in and at least, well, he got pushed out, so now he doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, he knows it's not, you know, hatch first, I think. Or maybe he doesn't, actually. Maybe he would have showed up on time. I'm not sure. But what you said is true, but furthermore, if Terran doesn't know you're going 12 pool, the Mutalisks show up so fast, you just get free wins with that. But at this point, I do believe Sharp knows what's up, seeing those links like that and that late hatchery. So he's gonna have to adjust his build order for a potential 2-H Muta that is like the 2-H Muta from hell.
Yep. And I think there's still a good shot that this could be lurkers, even though we don't see the Hydra Den just yet. If we just think about how this map is laid out with the building behind the natural, if that gets taken down, all of a sudden you can run Ling Lurker in. But it is going to be a Spire, I think, in the main.
Yeah, we would have seen it then by now, I believe. Although Lurker is viable, you can go to a Lurker.
Actually, that's a big building. That is
there we
Hydra
go.
Den. There we go.
There we go.
I love this build. I think it is so hard to deal with it. There's one guy on ladder, or at least was on ladder. I can't remember his name. Maybe it was PCS name. I think it was PCS name. Every time I played him, he would do this build, and it is super hard to stop, especially if you scan. Because like I said, if you scan, you're just all of a sudden out of scans, and it's like, oh well, lurkers are at my base. What do I do now? Yeah,
so you really need to like scan. I mean, you gotta scout at least in the natural, so you only have to spend 1 scan to confirm it. So you have 1 for defense. Preferably you want to scout everything, so you have both scans to defend with. But obviously the speed links make that difficult, right? So
yeah. And if you don't scan, and it's mutas, and you don't have turrets, you're dead. So it's you're between a rock and a hard place. You have to scan, but you don't want to scan, you know?
And you know what the best part is? Even if you play perfectly, and you know it's coming, this is not an all-in. This is just an opening, my friend. You can play a macro game off of this easily. Don't let Artosis fool you. This is a good opening that you can play macro games off of. Especially on a map like this, right? Because you got that backdoor entrance that's gonna have to be dealt with.
Well, we'll see if he does transition this into a non-all-in, because right now, it doesn't seem like he's got a lot of lings, unless he's going to be building them after these first few Hydras morph into lurkers. And I think those are lings being built, so it is going to be an all-in here. This is not really transitionable. He's going to try and end the game right here, and there was the scan that I talked about.
Yeah. So he's going to need, you know, probably 2 bunkers, I would say at least. At the front here, and he does have 1 scan in the tank. Fortunately, he chose right. I mean, he actually had to guess there because he hadn't scouted the natural long enough to confirm there wasn't a den there. So luckily he did, you know, guess right, and now he's gonna have 1 scan for defense.
Well, I actually think Sharp's already done it, because Sharp, he sees the lings here, and he rushed his comsat in his main. Like, to scan at 5 minutes is completely different than building your comsat at 5 minutes. So even though he only has 1 scan right now, he should have a 2nd scan in a few seconds. He's also got the turret set up. Look at that Fire Bat micro. Really good hold position right there to knock down almost every single Zergling.
Yeah, I don't know about attacking into these bunkers here. I think at this point, when Terran makes the bunkers, you have to just back off and work on the back door and make it drones.
Still think that...
Although, well... Oh, you know what he was doing? He knew his opponent only had 1 scan.
Yeah.
So he's like, alright, I'm gonna get this bunker while you only have 1 scan up. But it's not quite working out. I mean, got a 2nd scan just in time. Rip.
Yep, GG comes out. So easy hold from Sharp there, but you can see the power of this build, even though it failed, is like Voddy saying, there's only one scan, and Sharp just barely had a secondary scan. Like, if he delayed his comsat at all, he would have been in big time trouble.
Yeah, so he didn't make drones behind it. He did choose to all in. I was sitting here talking about how you don't have to, but he did do it. This time it was an all-in variant. But just imagine if he had only made, you know, the first lurkers and then drones behind it. Would that really have been a bad position? I have to argue, no, it would have been okay.
Yeah, you never know. I think just going for the all-in is, I find to be harder to deal with, but just because there's so many lings with it. Like, there's different, it's different when you only face like 6 lings and then there's only 3 lurkers, because maybe you can buy time repairing your bunker, but when there's so many lings, you can't really buy a lot of time. Like, you just get overrun. But really good control on that firebat, especially from Sharp. That's a really good way to stop that ling lurker all in, and he clutched it, man. We're going to be going into our final game of the winners match, and it is going to be an apocalypse.
He definitely clutched it out, that's for sure.
Okay, in the mid-right, our red Zerg, it is Action. And in the top middle, our blue Terran, it is Sharp.
On these positions, the main base is more exposed as opposed to the natural. And I think as Zerg, that's kind of nice, because think about this, like, Terran is gonna rally to his natural, so if he wants to attack you, you can really be like in his main, just wrecking stuff, and then like just immediately fly over the wall to go defend, right? So I think these positions are what you want as Zerg, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious what we're going to have for openers here, because I think the likelihood that Action pools first again is quite low, and because of that, I wouldn't hate to see an 8 racks, especially when you're on a map that can wall, but not going to have it. We're just going to have a typical depot racks opener, most likely.
Yeah, apparently going for that depot first. Now, of course, this is a map that you can do a partial wall on. So you can't wall fully, but you can wall a bit with only a little gap. And we're gonna see now if he's gonna go hatch first or 12 pool again. If he goes 12 pool, I have to imagine it's gonna be 12 pool Muta, and that's really a macro opening. Like, there's no hint of all in when you go 12 pool Muta first. We've actually seen Shine dominate people with that in ASL. Players like, well, I'm not gonna name drop whom he beat, but he's beaten some really strong, you know, top 4 Terrans. But it is gonna be hatch first, which is more economic. You get later Mutalisks, but you get more cash.
Yeah, and we've seen some players mixing in 2.5 hatch, so we're going to have to keep our eyes on that gas timing, whether it's going to be the classic 2-minute gas or the 2:15 gas, which is what we've seen a decent amount of time so far in the ASL. Everything so far looks like it's going to be the 2-minute gas. There we go.
Yep, so pretty standard 12, 11, 10, 9, 2 hatch, probably Mutalisk at this point. But, I mean, it could be Lurker. Although I don't see this map being as good. I mean, I guess it didn't matter, because last time he just went for an all-in anyway, so he didn't really use the map. But last map was better for a Lurker opening, for sure, than this.
Well, there is, I guess, stepping stones to going for drop play, right? Like, you have the third base at top right, where you could load up Lurkers and Overlords over there. But and it is a map that has a wide main. But yeah, I think the amount of times I've seen drop play, I can count on like one hand, so I think it's unlikely.
I didn't think of that, but if you want to play with, insane micro, by the way, and that's probably gonna be a dead SCV. Dude, this is so insane for Terran, because you really want to scout as long as possible, right?
Oh, look at that.
So that you don't. Yeah, that's it.
He was A-moving the Mierin, and the Overlord bought time for the drone to get the finishing blow, and now he's just gonna have to leave. Like, the drone micro, the probe micro is so good, it just makes me wonder how SCVs ever actually survive. Like, how do they actually ever scout and survive? It's just so rare, it seems.
You really have to be sneaky, because think about it. This whole map, you can be anywhere on it, and if he doesn't know where you are, you could get in. And then just don't let him get that lock on, I guess.
Yeah, I think
So
this
another
is,
SCV coming out. He needs to get into the main, dude.
I think
Just
this is
have
going to be
that.
another 4 or 5 Marine pressure build like he did on Invader. This time, it would be...
Almost, but not quite getting that ambush right there.
Yeah, actually, this is a 3rd hatch in the main pretty quickly, too. So, and the SCV is going to confirm it. So that's great for Sharp. He'll at least know that, hey, this guy has a 3rd hatch, but I don't have to worry about it being out on the map as
Yeah.
a 3rd base.
No early links this time, yet at least, and he even sees the Spire, so he knows exactly what's happening. That means he can delay comsat stations. He doesn't have to go hunt an expansion because he knows there isn't one.
Yeah, in this game he did rush Academy, so he's gonna have fast stem, fast range, but he's not gonna have fast +1. So everything does look like the Invader game, but Action hasn't gotten in to confirm whether this is 2 racks or fast +1 just yet. And we do see him preemptively building a Sunken because of that, but the Firebat and Medic move out is going to be coming in just a couple seconds.
Yeah, now, he going for this hatchery in his base, and that Sunken, it's giving me an idea that, you know, look at the positions, right? I was talking about how you can be in the main base and then come home to defend very easily. So because Mutalisks are so strong in these positions, it actually makes it very feasible to play like a mass Muta style plus Sunkens. And then you make the Terran desperately try to counterattack you, but then you come back and defend with your Sunkens, and you shut him down. So that could be something he's going for, given that he has the hatchery in his main, right? It makes that style better, it makes Sunkens a lot better.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of players actually go for that style exactly on this map. Zero pulled it out, Jaedong pulled it out, and Ivory also pulled out Mass Muta. We've got the Marine Medic right here, but 2 Sunkens. Well, there's only 1 medic. Can he actually bust through? There's no lings either. Did Action just get too greedy? The mutas are going to pop out, but it's going to be a couple more seconds.
Yeah, he's going to have to run into his main, but he's going to lose 1 drone, 2, 3.
Well, he doesn't have to necessarily get mutas here. If he pops Overlords out,
Even he gets a mutas.
Literally anything is a win for him. Okay, he's going to focus down mutas. This is amazing damage.
Okay, look at how he goes for the Mutalisk. 2 mutas instead of drones. 3 Mutalisks! Why is this good? Well, because the one weakness when you do this, when you trade Marines for drones, but the enemy still has Mutalisks, is that he's just gonna counterattack you. But now, the counterattack isn't that scary, right?
Yeah, this is a nothing, a counterattack. There's, what, 5 mutas? 5 mutas isn't a breakpoint for anything. Can't kill SCVs with 5 mutas. I guess you can technically kill Marines with 5 mutas, but you're never feeling confident about moving in with 5 mutas. So that was way too confident of a move from Action there. Way too greedy that he could hold it, and he got punished big time.
Yeah, he needed either like 6 Zerglings with that, or 1 more Sunken to stop the move out. Because he only had 2 links, that's it, that's all he had.
Yeah, if he even just had 6 links, he would have been fine. Now he's going to come in here, and he's going to at least, I guess, see that it's only 3 racks, but that just means that Sharp's going to be able to scale into his tech really quickly, and there's no chance of Action taking a 3rd base anytime soon. He may try and just all in here. Like, I see Hydrogen by his 3rd hatch, I think.
Yeah, there's just no good path from here. Everything's weaker. I mean, an all-in is weaker, an expand is weaker. I don't know.
Oh, loses another Muta. So, Muta opener that did no...
Oh,
is he going to catch him before there's no Sunken either? And this time there's 3 medics, so there's a lot of healing power.
Yeah, I think they'll still have energy, because he wasn't really harassing them, so... This is another huge attack. Drone's going down.
The Ling Egg got cancelled instantly. There's just not enough. This is it, man. GG. And Sharp, you could see his reaction on the screen. It's looked like he's already won the finals, man. He's feeling so pumped. He finally makes it into the round of 8. So congratulations to him.
You know, if he had just made links like every other game where he smashed, where he utterly dominated, he wouldn't have died like that. Just 6 links, man. And he would have lived.
I know, this is similar to the game versus Royal, where it's like, if I had just built a Firebat, I would have lived, and we would have gotten to the mid-game. Same thing. If I had just built 4 more links, I would have lived and been fine. So Action's definitely kicking himself for that loss there. Like, that was just a big blunder, but congrats to Sharp. He saw an opportunity, went for it, if I was him and saw just 2 Sunkens, I would have been skeptical. Like, dude, this is the highest of the highest levels, and you only have 2 Sunkens. Really? There's no way.
Yeah, that's what he was hoping that his opponent would believe, you know? Like, oh, don't worry, I do have the links. Hehe, sneaking in some drones. But actually, he didn't have any.
Oh, man. Well, action not out of it yet for you Zerg fans out there, but Sharp, he's going to be moving on, and that gives us 3 Terrans, 3 Zergs, 1 Protoss in the round of 8. Man, Sharp, you called it, man. You were saying he was looking so good these days, and he proved it this time. He caught action completely off guard here and just easily took this win. Damn, there was no hesitation.
No, he just did it. I mean, if there had been links here, lying in wait for an ambush, that's like a game-winning move right there from Zerg. But that's why Zergs, they like to mix up like this. You know, sometimes they make the links, and Terran's like, oh, I can't go for it. Other times they don't make the links. So, you know, this time, unfortunately, he got caught out.
Yeah, and these Marines, they killed way more mutas than I thought. Like, he got 3 more mutas here, right? The drones, they got off a lot of damage too. Like, they had pretty good surface area on the Marines, and the Marines just racked up so much damage.
Dude.
Yeah, 1.
That's what remained.
Up, and that guy's a Terran fan. He's praying for Terran to make it out, so he should be happy about that. Sharp coming in clutch for him. Well, unfortunately for me, I wanted to see 2 matchups today. I wanted to see Best versus Action, and I wanted to see Royal versus Sharp. So I don't get to see that, but there is still hope for me that we will get Best versus Action. Like I said last season, Action and Best had very epic games. But it's going to be a tough opponent for Best to get through because Royal, he's been crushing it for about 2 years now.
Yeah. Arguably strongest player, arguably strongest Terran.
Yeah, and the fact that he has so many builds just makes him even more dangerous. Like, when you play Light, you can be pretty confident in what Light's going to do. He's going to, you know, upgrades, split the map, just slowly take his time and overwhelm you. But versus Royal, you got to be on top of your drop harass. You got to be on top of potentially BBS in the center. He'll 14 command center you. He'll gasless. He'll, you know, do timings. Really, really tough player to read.
Sharp looking like a human being. Some people, I don't want to name anyone, but they seem to have an issue talking to the woman. So they don't really look at her eyes and stuff, and they fidget around a lot. But Sharp's looking comfortable, you know, he's got this. He can talk to her.
Yeah, and he is very excited after that win. That's, I think, the most hyped I've ever seen him be in ASL. And I'm very happy.
Yeah, he had a pop-off there.
Yeah, he definitely popped off. I'm trying to bring up his Liquipedia right now to see what his highest placement is in ASL, because this feels like it's the first time for me watching ASL him actually make it into the round of 8.
Dude, he hasn't even qualified for ASL for a while. You know?
Yeah, it's true. Like, ASL is so hard to get into, but you're right, he hasn't been in ASL a decent amount of time, but here he is. I'm looking at his stats on Liquipedia. I don't think that they're completely up to date, and I don't want to scroll through every season of ASL, but I will say, if this is not the first time him making it into the round of 8, it's one of the few, so congrats to him. And the way he played today, he played quite well, so going into the round of 8, he's probably got a good shot regardless of who his opponent is.
He really has a real shot. His Terran versus Terran is amazing. Possibly his best matchup, I'm not sure. His Terran versus Protoss is clutch AF, okay? Like, you can't count him out. Even if he's getting smashed all game. You really can't.
And you know what? For the past 3 or 4 seasons now, we've had a new Terran player, like, emerge as a very strong contender. Like, we've had Rush a few seasons ago, then we had Royal, we had JYJ and Mind also show up out of nowhere, and they're looking super strong, or looked super strong. And now we've got Sharp coming out of nowhere. Maybe he can hold the mantle for Terran this season.
He honestly could win. I mean, it wouldn't be out of this world if he won. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, he's looking very solid, and like you were saying, his Terran versus Terran is top notch. So if he gets JYJ, JYJ is going to need to practice a lot because this guy's beast mode in that matchup. I think the only person that I would take over Sharp other than Flash would be Sock, because every time I watch Sock, I don't know what it is, but his TVT is just absolute perfection.
Yeah, dude, that guy's a psychopath, man. Have you seen his Pro League games? He just slaughters people.
Yeah, he's amazing. There's a lot of times that I'll watch TVT from the other pros' perspective, whether it's Sharp or Rush or whoever, and as they're playing Sock, I don't. First off, I don't know that it's Sock. I'm just watching. I'm like, holy smokes, this guy's Terran versus Terran is amazing. Who the hell is the opponent? And then I find out that it's Sock. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Also, he's like one of the best dropship users against Protoss, you know?
Oh, is he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, he thrives, and I have to say the current meta game and the current maps are good for him, because he thrives on playing 2-base versus 3-base, okay? And these days, it's like hard to rush a 3rd base as Terran, right? So that's good right now. He like finds vulture openings, he delays your 3rd, he uses dropships, he catches the shuttle with wraiths, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, his
He's great at
multicast
that.
is really good, I guess.
You know these like long all-ins that last like, I don't know, like a really long time? For Terran, he does those too really well.
Okay, I guess I
Like
haven't
long
really
2-base all-ins.
watched his Terran versus Protoss that much, because when you think of experts TVP, I'm not sure if Sock is the first one that comes to mind. You think of Light, you know, Royal, Rush. So generally when I watch TVP, I watch those 3 in particular, but maybe I'll have to tune into Sock because it sounds like he's got a different play style.
There was like a KCM a few months ago at this point that I recommend, that he was in. He doesn't show up all the time, but sometimes he shows up and just destroys people, dude.
Okay, I love players that can play harass style, the fantasy style. That's how I wish I could play, you know?
Yeah, it's like, it's not enough to have good mechanics. And in fact, Sock's mechanics aren't that good. They're good enough, but they're really not the best. It's really about tactics, okay? Like, you gotta be wise enough to play 2-base versus 3-base, to play dropship. Because if you don't have the tactics and the wisdom to do it, you're just gonna kill yourself by putting yourself behind.
Yeah, because there's more to just dropping, like, oh, I got a drop, and I'm just going to go send it. Like, you got to draw the opposing player out of position so it can open up the potential for drop. Kind of similar to what Ample did yesterday, where he moved a small army, drew goons out of position, and then just countered attack with vultures, which allowed him to just run in there and deal catastrophic damage.
Classic. And you know what else? If you're doing a 2-base push, you also need similar tactics. Because really what's good about the 2-base push is establishing a position that's fortified that Protoss has to attack into because it threatens him. Yeah. But of course Protoss isn't just going to let you get there, so you can do stuff like, you know, a dropship to make him go back, while then you move across the map, you know. And then maybe you don't even do the drop. You can actually just leave and then use them for the push. You can do stuff like, you know, vulture maneuvers while you move with tanks. And then maybe if he tries to go for the tanks, you actually bring your vultures back and you flank him with mines. Like a lot of stuff like that. So again, being good at that stuff also helps for 2-base pushes, which Sock also does quite a fair amount of.
Yep, that's totally true. And we're in a break, so we'll be back in a couple minutes or so. And we are back. We're about to get into our losers match, which is going to be those two players you see. Royal facing off versus Best, a PVT. And this time it's going to be best of 3. So no set maps this time. We're going to have the vetoes come out. I wonder what both players want to veto. Royal played so well on Tempest, and I feel like it fits his playstyle, that even though I think that could be a tough map for Terran in general, I think Royal should play on it. He looks so strong, especially versus Snow.
Yeah, it's always very interesting to see what maps people choose.
We had a lot of polypoid bans in the round of 24, but in the round of 16 so far, we've had polypoid make a resurgence. We saw it yesterday, and I think we also saw it a couple times last season. So last week. So there's a decent shot that super standard maps also get in. Oh, and all the way from Canada, 15-year fan. Damn.
All right, finally made it up. Very nice. And he seems to be a Best enjoyer.
Yeah. I know a lot of players love Best. Not sure exactly. Oh, I think that's his first ASL, if I read that correctly. So I'm sure he's enjoying it too. And what are the bans? There we go. We've got Tempest. All right. And we have La Campanella and Neo Dark Origin as the actual bans.
Dude, Tempest. It was Royal, right? Who had like a fast bunker build where he delayed his tanks an insane amount on this map, right? That was him, wasn't it? It was a Terran, I believe it was.
It might have
been.
But
anyway, he made a bunker on the high ground and just got everything except tanks, and it just totally smashed in the game I saw.
Well, I know Royal smashed versus Snow. I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly the actual opener, but maybe he'll bring it out again here and show us the power of that bunker. We've got in the top right, we've got Best, and in the bottom right, we've got Royal. Now, Tempest to me is always an interesting map for Terran in particular as far as openers, because 12 Nexus is likely, and BBS could be good. Yeah. But Protoss also knows 14cc could be good, and they know BBS could be good. So there could be this coin flip where somebody BBS's, the other guy goes 12 Nexus, somebody proxy gates, the other guy goes 14cc, and the game's just over in an instant.
Yeah, that is an annoying part of maps like this, where it's like, okay, if you think it's gonna gateway, you go 1-Rex expand, but then if you think it's gonna Nexus first, you either CC first or BBS. So, could happen, or it could just be 1-Gate Expo versus 1-Rex Expo, we'll see. Overall, though, if you know how to use a map like this, that high ground bunker can be insane. It lets you do so many insane things.
Oh yeah. It is definitely a great map for just powering like a madman and getting away with absolute murder. And speaking of absolute murder, it's 12 Nexus.
Yep, Nexus first, indeed. So we're gonna see, is Royal going to CC first or Barracks? No, 1-Rex Expo, okay.
Okay, that's an interesting Rax position too. I think you can put a depot on the right side, and that could be sort of a SimCity to prevent some zealots. We do have actually gas. Now, out of all builds, I'm the most surprised that it's going to be gas, especially when it's somebody like Royal, who I do know likes to gasless expand quite often.
So why would you do this on this map? Well, there is a thing you can do against Nexus First, which is like the fastest goddamn vulture drop you've ever seen in your life. And this map helps with that because, again, the high ground, right? So you're not going to die to any dragoons beforehand. You don't even need a tank. So he may be going for that. Unfortunately for him, the probe is going to get in there. And when you see this as Protoss, you will immediately become suspicious. On a map like this, dude, you see this opening?
Yep. And also, this map has high ground over the natural, similar to Lost Temple, where you can tank drop. So, Best is going to have to keep that in mind, that even though I agree that vulture drop is strong, we could even see a tank drop on the natural. We do have the factory coming down. Royal did pull off of gas, but I would not be surprised if he actually puts an additional worker on gas to try and get that starport up.
Yeah, right, he might. I mean, maybe he's just going for this opening. I don't know, to try to catch a fast zealot or something. But the tank on the high ground you were talking about, that's actually very strong against people who go for that, you know, forge expansion, which some people do these days, because then you get later tech. So some people go like, oh, and we're even seeing the forge, so that could be good now.
Oh yeah, this is
like the ideal situation for it.
This is exactly the ideal situation. The forge delays your robo like at least 30 seconds, and that's even if you rush it.
But he's just gonna expand apparently, so not gonna see it.
I'm sad. I would have loved to see the tank drop in 2023, but not gonna happen, at least not just yet. We still could have a delayed starport. I think that's a zealot moving out, yep, and is there really only one Marine right now?
Yeah, I mean, this is the classic Nexus First, where they get the expansion fast, but then you also have to defend against the gateway units, and he's not defending against the gateway units, so... Okay, yeah, we have a Vulture, at least.
Yep.
So he's only gonna delay this expansion a little bit.
Well, this is
actually significant, though.
Yeah, this is a decent delay, and microing the SCV and... No way. Okay, I was gonna say... There's no way that SCV doesn't die. Like, there's only one player that SCV wouldn't die, and that's for Flash, just because the SCV, for some reason, always bounces around the right way. Have you noticed that with Flash?
Well, I mean, I have to press extra doubt here. I think maybe that's selection bias. I mean, maybe he's got a supernatural command over StarCraft. I don't know. Maybe. He is named God, after all.
Yeah. Well, regardless... He does clean up the probe and the zealot with minimal losses, but it does delay the command center a decent amount of time. Because Best is unsure of what this is, he does rush that robo in case it could be drops. And back in Royals Main, we did see something like a 430 armory. That is an extremely fast armory timing, but he's going to be rushing up those upgrades.
He knows it's a cannon expansion too. So he knows that any potential DT or something is not going to be as fast as could be otherwise, right? And he's probably going to have to take a risk too to get back in this game. Like, you just guess that the opponent's going to do X and hope you're right to catch up.
Yeah.
Now, he's skipping range, as you said, and I think that's actually a way to use... Okay, he's getting it now, but he got Robo first at least. And he seems to be afraid of a drop, getting a cannon even in the main. But like on a map like this, a cannon on the high ground actually stops like any ground attack, basically.
Yeah.
So you don't really need Dragoons to stay alive.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't stop it at least buys time. It's on high ground, so it's less likely to get hit. Like, it'll buy you a sizable amount of time to actually get units out. We do have support bay coming in for Best, as expected. It means we're going to have a Reaver drop. Still only one gateway. Range is coming down finally. And look at this mine placement. Literally everywhere. He's going to spot everything.
Yeah, there's a good chance he sees the shuttle coming in, which is one of the primary functions of the mines, actually. It's to see the shuttle. So he may very well see it, given the good spread he has.
Yep. If he was to miss the shuttle... I mean, where's an actual spot where the shuttle can go? The only spot I see is really at the top side, in between those two mines, where it can't get spotted. And look at this. Is he really going to go that direction? No. Well, Starport's coming down. This is just so fast.
Yeah, look how fast the Roy is powering. No bunker, no anything. And so you might be thinking, Protoss got away with Nexus first. Oh no. Well, actually not really, because he went cannon up to the Nexus. Which isn't really... It's like a safer variant, right? Like, it's not as big of a deal. So I'd say this is a pretty even game, honestly. Maybe slight edge to Protoss.
Yeah, it's minor, if anything. Royal's really powering himself quite a bit. Like you said, skipping the bunker, that's 100 minerals you can save. That's a big deal in the early game. Now he has 3 Goliaths already out, and because he's got
maybe slight edge to Terran even, actually.
Yeah, he's got vision with these mines that, you know, he can feel a little bit confident to move slightly out with Goliaths. If Best ever just randomly moves into the Goliaths that happen to be there, that shuttle will die really quick. But he scans for the observer. Okay, I can guarantee you Best was not expecting that.
What a snipe, dude.
Yeah, why are there Goliaths there? That's what I would be saying.
That was such an insane ballsy move right there, dude. And it really paid off. He was fishing for that.
Yeah. Well, I do like the fact that because Best got this fast forge, he's starting to get his +1 pretty quickly. However, because the Goliaths were forward, guess what? That means they can't be in the main, and hello, Reaver drop. How many kills can he actually get? Only 1 so far, or 2, 3, okay. Already this is good damage. But is he stuck? Can the shuttle get out in time?
He could. He's choosing not to, it looks like, but he is going to get out after all.
You gotta be careful.
We have a Wraith on the way, I have to assume also.
Oh, 6 Dragoons at the front. No siege, no bunker.
Yeah,
and now a Reaver,
game ending.
a Reaver on the ramp could make this...
Oh, he has the high ground.
Yeah, he has the high ground. I don't even know if the tanks have siege mode. He got the shuttle. He got the Reaver.
Oh my! The Reavers were in the shuttle, dude.
Dude, this could have...
He could have won the game right there.
Yeah, he could have won. Look how many SCVs are there. The Reavers would have obliterated all the SCVs.
He might still win, but damn, dude.
Yeah, he may still win, actually, because he's killing all the Goliaths, all the tanks. But the SCVs are doing a lot of damage. But, well, regardless, I think Best still did catastrophic damage here, because look at Royal Supply now. Just 60 versus 80. And Best has a 3rd Nexus already done.
Yeah. Oh, and he's saturating it now, so... Yeah, it's definitely looking rough for Terran. Best is probably going to go up 1-0. I mean, he might just kill him right now, honestly.
I think he is going to kill him. Okay, good control right there. Is that it? There's 1 tank. SCV's trying to repair. Nope, not going to happen with the repair. And this may just be a quick 1-0 in favor of Best. We've got a Vulture counterattack to the 3rd base, but there's already a cannon set up.
You know, skipping that bunker for that long, it was good, but then you don't have a bunker. So then you die to the Dragoons running up the ramp, right?
Well, I don't think he was expecting the Goons to run up the ramp. Like, think of it from from Terran's point of view. You just picked off the Observer. How can Protoss know there's no mines there, right? Like, how can he know that there's nothing there? He's just going to move command Goons without vision? That doesn't really make sense.
Well, it was intelligent, and I'll explain why. Like, it was a risk for sure, but it was smart, because here's the thing. You know, he opened Vulture, and he's obviously going to lay every mine on the map, right? That's what people do when they open Vulture. Then he went a bunch of Goliaths, which you know, because he just snapped your Observer. So is there really any room to have more Vultures and thus more mines in there?
Yeah,
you know?
it is true that, like you said, the mines are already laid, and he's going to lay them at 3rd base. Is he going to lay them to get vision? Like, he's not going to lay them outside of his natural. And again, like you said, you can't build Vultures, because if you build more Vultures, well, all of a sudden, then you don't have, like, any units. Like, you don't have any tanks or anything. So that it was a good play from Best in retrospect. Is there anything even loaded up here? I feel like this is a fake. Oh,
it's a real one. Yeah, just take that tank out. Like, such huge damage here. And he's got a 3rd base. He can take a 4th now. I mean, he can do whatever he wants. He could go Carrier, so that's a great way to capitalize on being ahead.
No,
he could take a 4th and get Storm. He could go Arbiter.
Yeah. I think this is Best going to do what Best does best, which is just run you the hell over with a ton of gateways. And because he has Forge, he's got good power, good upgrade spikes himself. I imagine +1 is probably done for him too.
Yeah, when you're playing this mass gateway frontal assault style, having Forge upgrades actually matters. People think they don't matter for Protoss, but attack upgrades do. There's nothing wrong with attack upgrades in PvT. It's just armor isn't as effective against tanks because of the nature of the unit.
Well, Royal's gonna have to channel his inner... I don't know.
Not even Sharp could come back from this, I think.
They call Sulky what the Iron Wall. Like, he's such a good player at defending. He's gonna have to channel his inner Iron Wall here to even have a remote chance versus Best. Best is just such a massive lead.
Look at the top left. He's double expanding.
Yeah. Okay, well...
Okay, this isn't that good, though.
Yeah, losing the Reaver for free, not great.
DTs now. Was that a DT in there? I guess we're about to find out.
We'll see if a DT's coming in. He sees that there's not even an eBay done, so no turrets. Here we go. We've got the good old 12-minute 3 tank, 3 Vulture, 3 Goliath move out. We'll see if this can get any damage done. Actually, more tanks than I thought. Where'd those come from?
Is he really okay? He's got a counterattack, so this could be huge. I think he might have Storm here even.
Yeah, I think he does have Storm.
1 DT.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
Wow!
Okay, well, Royal, you gotta go win the game now. But there's no chance of that happening. There's a Storm drop in the main. Entire army gets wiped, and that's gonna be it.
Yeah. So really that Reaver is what won the game, followed by the Dragoon attack, of course, after the units were in the main.
What was that? I didn't hear it.
Okay, so really the game-winning move there was that Reaver getting in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Royal, he was trying to play the style where you just, like, catch the Protoss with Goliaths. Like, he caught the Observer, he didn't catch the Shuttle, though. And then he was out of position, and he just, you know, lost to a Reaver, basically. It's a very risky style to play when you're just trying to catch units like that, instead of sitting in your base, waiting for them.
Yeah, and seeing that eBay wasn't even done at the natural, like 12 minutes into the game, he didn't even have an eBay to help, you know, to build turrets anywhere. Like, he was really playing really greedy there, really relying on the Goliaths, like you were saying, to defend the Reaver. And if you're just ever out of position like that with no backup plan, you're in real trouble. Also, he didn't have even mines laid in his main. Like, remember... Yeah. The retro game Sharp versus Best. Sharp had mines set up in multiple places, but Royal didn't even have that either.
Well, it was also a form of Nexus First versus a form of One Rex expansion. So, you know.
Yeah, that is true. But this could be potentially Royal's last game of the tournament. He is down 0-1. He's on the ropes, and we're going into Polypoid. Let's see if Best can close it out, or if Royal will tie up the score 1-1.
I have to say, this is a good map for this matchup for Royal. Because what does Royal like to do? He likes to take, you know, 4 bases before he attacks, get upgrades, and what does Best like to do? He likes to go mass gateways and attack. What can you do on this map? Well, you can sit on your 3rd base, which is a hill, and then you can wall off your 4th with a bunch of depots and put some tanks there. And then it's like, where does Protoss attack, you know? So, if he's gonna win, it's on this map. I do believe this map is still slightly Terran favored in both matchups, like a little bit. Maybe like 53 only versus Protoss and like 56 versus Zerg or something. But I guess that doesn't really matter, it's balanced enough. But his style, I really do believe, is good for this map.
Yeah, I agree. And just in general, any map where Terran doesn't have to really move to get 4 bases is pretty crazy. Like you said, you sit on the high ground on the 3rd base, and you've got 4 bases basically for free.
Right.
It's
the weakness, though, on this map, and we've seen this exploited before by Bisu and others, is that if you take a 3rd base quickly, it only has minerals. If Protoss goes carriers at a timing that forces you to respond before you would get a 4th, then you're in trouble, because you know, you don't have the scans because you rush the 3rd base, so you make turrets with your excess minerals. You don't see the carriers, even if you do, you don't have the gas, you can't make Goliaths. But Best doesn't really make carriers, he doesn't go for it. So, shouldn't be an issue here.
Yep, and I think we're going to have another 11 or 12 gas from Royal. So, he's not really playing gasless today for whatever reason. He's decided that this is the opener to go for. We do have... not necessarily a forward gate, but it's about as forward as you can get. It's right up against the ramp, and he is actually going to be building multiple zealots here. Yesterday, we saw Bisu do this a few times, actually following up with a Nexus. I wonder if he'll go Nexus himself, or if he'll go into faster cybernetics. Hopefully there's the gas.
So gas coming in now, but he made a 2nd pylon first, didn't he? So definitely several zealots, at least 1 zealot on the way now, which will be scouted. If Royal decides to camp this gateway, yeah, he knows now Zealot's coming, seeing that later simulator. So we can go ahead and get that SimCity a depot down and make enough Marines.
I must be seeing things. Am I seeing a wall versus Protoss? Could potentially there be a factory up there too to complete the wall? No.
A factory he cannot wall up with, no. He could have walled, he chose not to, because he would rather have the extra cash from building that depot close to the mineral line, the first one. So this is just like a you know, anti-Zealot SimCity.
Yep, and the SimCity is going to be really good for him. Marines on the backside. Of course, Zealot and Probe can slip through the top side, but does he want to commit to this? Well, there's your answer. He wants to get in here and try and pop that SCV like he did last game on the command center.
So far, no damage done.
Yep, no damage.
To your Royal.
I think he should just run. Okay, yeah, that's a smart move. He only lost a little bit of health on his Zealot. And
if he hadn't had that depot there, then he would have had to block the ramp with an SCV. That would have been a good play there. But now, he didn't even have to do that.
Yeah.
And he's going to scout the timing here. I assume he saw that Nexus, right? That's really huge, actually.
Yeah, seeing the Nexus, that means that he knows that it can't possibly be range. He can't afford range in a fast Nexus like this. He also can't afford DT or Robo.
Yeah, it's great because if you go for a Zealot first, you have extra gas, so it could be like mega turbo fast Reaver or DT. But when you see the Nexus, you know it's none of that, so you don't have to get detection yet.
Yeah, we are just waiting to see what the tech choice will be from Best. I imagine it's gotta be Robo. I don't think I've really ever seen somebody skip range, go Nexus, and then go DT, but I guess that's always a possibility. Back in Royals main, I see that we're still on one okay, there we go. One factory because there's a proxy starport at mid right.
Yeah, so he's probably going to want to lay mines with his vultures, then use them for a drop. That's what I'm thinking this is.
Yep, that's exactly what he's going to do. When you're going for a drop like this, you don't need to lay mines in the main. You're just suiciding the vultures for probe kills. So that's exactly what he's going to do. Robo is pretty late because of how the openers went with Zealot first into, Nexus, into, I'm not sure if it was Robo before range, but he may not even get into the main with an observer before the drop comes in.
It could be like, as the observer comes in, you got vultures in your main. Like, that could actually happen right now.
Yep, and there's no, map control at all with the goons, like not pressuring at all, so he has no idea that there's really even vultures out on the map. Observatory coming in, but the add-on's basically done already for the starport. Drops is pretty quick to build, and with these dragoons out of position, Best has got to be careful. He needs to start rallying to his main pretty soon.
There aren't even any mines yet, are there?
Well, now he's starting to lay them. And you know what I'm noticing with all these buildings placed on the outskirt of Best's main? Well, that means he's not going to have the ability to full wall off the bottom side of his Nexus. That means vultures can just run in there and start sniping drones left and right, or probes.
He doesn't have anti-drop SimCity, which means the drop could be hugely devastating.
Yep, and vultures are positioning at the bottom side of the map. Drop is already done. Here we go. The observatory isn't even out. Now it just completed and it's going across the map. Look where the dragoons are. They're not even close to the main.
Okay, he's gonna see it now. Immediate reaction.
Wow, actually that was really good game timing right there. Probe is gonna scramble to get down some buildings. Wow, actually does he wall that all off? Okay, so it was better defense than I thought, but he still gets a decent amount of probes. What was it, 4, I would say, something like that?
That was a clutch placement right there, dude.
Yeah, that was really good from Best. And whenever you see a Terran go for a drop and didn't do ridiculous amounts of damage, just put that Nexus down. What could Terran possibly have other than, one factory? So I love the response here, just instantly builds a Nexus, and he's just gonna, continue to scale his econ.
Yeah. So, pretty even position. I mean, you would have liked to get a few more probes, but it's definitely playable from here, at least.
Yep, turret ring went down to prevent the observer from getting a count on how many factories are actually built, preventing the observer from seeing the armory timing. But he is going to find an opening at the top side near the natural, and now he'll make his way into the main. And when he comes in here and sees that, wow, there's only 2 factories, he's going to be feeling really good about his third Nexus.
Yeah, it's so comfortable in this position as Protoss, because you're basically playing with map hack. You know what Terrans are doing, and there's no threat to you. No. You know exactly what you can do and what you can get away with. Also, you can see if he doesn't have scans. And again, he's not a carrier user, but if he were so inclined, and you see this is like, okay, you got Starport, you got no Academy, you might be skipping scans to go into Vessel first. And, carriers smash that, especially on a map like this with no third gas.
Well, we've got quite a bit of factories going down for Royal. He does need to build a decent amount of them, because if he is going to take a third base, it's kind of hard to have enough units to do so unless you have like 4 or 5 factories after a starport opener. So even though Best sees that this is a 5 fact, doesn't necessarily mean that Royals all in here. We've got vultures into the third base. Good probe denial right there, only losing 2 probes.
Fast +1 again. Look at best with the fast forge upgrades. Very interesting.
They're good, man. 2-1 is 2-1 for Protoss is actually pretty damn strong versus 2-1 versus Terran. So if he can match the upgrades of Terran, I would actually prefer Protoss's position. Assuming,
yeah, even armor matters because it helps against vultures.
Yep.
It's very underestimated.
Yeah, now once Terran gets to +3, that's a different story. But if it's only +2, Protoss is actually pretty damn strong. But now I'm starting to worry a little bit because Best did not see a command center go up just yet. He knows there's 5 factories already done, and it looks like he's potentially going to build a 4th Nexus. And if he gets hit with a timing, he may not be able to hold it if he continues to power too much.
Well, he does see everything, so... I mean, I have to imagine he's got this calculated well enough that he's not just gonna see what's happening and still die to it, right?
Yeah, you would hope so, right? I think the science facility actually went down for Royal in the natural. That's the big building there. And we'll see if he is going to build a command center or if he's going to transition this into some type of 7-fact timing. Right now, it's kind of up in the air. Dropship is trying to find the angle. Vultures do unload. How much damage can they get done?
I don't know about laying those mines, dude. Like, honestly, what is that? Oh, no! Dude! Oh, that's unfortunate.
Looks like it probably wouldn't have even mattered because the SimCity's so good. Great defense by Best right there. And that SCV is in a position like he's going to build the command center. And as soon as he sees that SCV, he's like, Nexus. You're not attacking me? Nexus.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good, man. 4 base. I mean, you want to be ahead of base against Terran, right? But you have to prepare for them taking the 3rd. So why not be 2 bases ahead so that when they do get the 3rd, you know, you're ready for it.
Okay, Reaver gets a couple of vultures. And we have a 6th factory that has gone up for Royal. I think that's the command center building, the 3rd base. And we've got another
There's no
drop
cannon yet, is there?
Oh, that's right.
There isn't.
And he walled himself in. There's no real angle for the goons to get in here. That's a big shot. 6 kills on that single tank shot. We'll lose the tank, though, most likely. Or maybe not. It's only a Zealot drop. And he gets more probe kills. And he gets out.
Great drop, you know? That was good.
Yeah, really good value. Can he... Nope.
Oh, he overstayed.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, he did overstay there, but still worth it overall. Could have been better, but worth it for sure.
His supplies are really close. 135 to 115. That's not bad for Terran. We've also got double Wraith out to help deal with this shuttle. The Reaver shot is going to get 1 tank, and he gets 1 Wraith, so that's good for him. Uh-oh. Will Best
like
allow
have
him?
Storm. So he should have Storm in time for like a big attack.
Oh,
damn, that hurts though.
Yeah, I don't think Best is going to allow him to take this base. It's so hard for Terran to fight uphill that I think he's just going to continue to just bomb this position over and over.
Yeah, if you could get like some good storms from uphill, that's probably what he's looking for and could be sick. He seems quite prepared for the counterattack as well, with cannons everywhere.
Oh my gosh, that hit like 7 Dragoons.
Wow. We also have to consider that he's been making so many shuttles, I don't think he has enough observers everywhere, so running into mines and losing a bunch of units is a possibility here.
You know, I'm actually surprised that Best just didn't go for it. He saw all the vultures run out on the right side, and that means that they can't be with the tanks. Yeah, only 1 cannon at the 3rd base. He's gonna kill a lot of probes there.
This is the worst of both possibilities, because look how he's getting the harassment damage.
Yep.
And then Best pulls back, which means you get the damage and the 3rd. Usually you get one or the other, right? Where if Protoss is at the front, you kill him with the counterattack. And if he's at the back, you expand behind the threat of it. But he's getting both now.
Yeah, and Terran saw him move back. If Terran, like, well, I don't know if Terran would have had time to unsiege and get onto the 3rd base, but maybe. But for now,
he didn't go for it, so
yeah, he's okay. Whoa.
Oh, but okay.
Yeah, but why now?
He had a lot of units in the main, the vultures coming out. Well, I mean, I guess they came out just in time, but...
That's a lot of zealots. This gets on directly the tanks. How many dragoons are here to help support this army? The answer is quite a lot. There's still no storms just yet, but he kills almost every tank. There's going to be one tank left, and that's only just one on the high ground. Good storm there.
Dude, I think he was waiting for a drop in the main, and then he got busted at the front. Because did you see all those units come out of the main right there? There were like 4 tanks and 10 vultures coming down the ramp.
Okay. Well, I thought Best was going to make that move a few seconds, or like a couple minutes, maybe like a minute or so ago, but it doesn't really matter because the result's the same. He pounced on that army that was away from those vultures, and he did ridiculous amounts of damage to the tank line.
Yeah, he did kill a lot of units. Now, finally, Royal's going to come down here and take his third. Or is he even? I don't know. No, he's not.
Well, Royal's got to get this base pretty soon, because we're starting to get to the moment in the game where bases start mining out. So this is Royal on a timer, otherwise he's going to be eliminated from ASL, because Best, he's on no timer in terms of econ. He's already got 4 bases, soon to be 5.
You know, he had enough units to take the high ground and fortify it with mines, but he didn't do it. And then he got busted with units in the main, not even joining the fight. I really think he had a position there to go take that third base and fortify it.
Terran has the +2, but Protoss also has +2, and the tank count just keeps getting reset over and over and over. Another tank falls. Now it's 2 tanks plus vultures versus a decent amount of goons, plus stuff in the shuttles. There's a storm.
Best is so confident in his position that he's even expanding towards the Terran, because that base is less harassable.
Yeah.
You know?
I think actually Best has done it. The tank count is too low. Royal has not sieged any tanks on the high ground at all, like to help support the low ground units. And that's really backfiring. Like, anytime a tank comes on the low ground, it's like getting picked off almost instantly.
Yeah, Best has definitely done it. That's for sure.
Yeah, this is just kind of a insurmountable lead. It's 50 supply. The tanks are way too far forward. Goodbye, tank. Another one's probably going to fall in a second. Mines at the goon, mines on the goons on the backside get a couple kills, but there's still so much Protoss. It's almost doubling supply now. Those are the GG scans going off pretty much.
Yeah. Just dominating here. Dominating position. Dominating performance.
Well done from Best there. He responded correctly. Like, his drop defense was good, even though I thought he was lacking the SimCity. The gateway was clutch, and then after the drop, he said, you know what? You can't have units, Nexus. Got the observers in, saw the SCV was set up to build a command center, Nexus. And then he just has too much stuff. Easily overwhelmed Royal.
He won the same way in all of his PvTs, which was just contain the Terran to 2 bases and punish him when he tries to take a third.
Yeah, that's the one difficult part about Polypoid, is that if you struggle to get your third base, you continue to struggle and continue to struggle. And then this exact scenario happens where all of a sudden I'm mined out. And that's just how it goes. Well, that does set us up for the match of the day for me. It's going to be a rematch from last season. It's going to be Best versus Action. That series last season, if you guys have not seen it, it was like a best of 5. 3 of the games at least were epic, absolutely epic. So I have high hopes for this series. Do you think if Royal had put any tanks on the high ground, it would have helped here, or did this just not matter at all?
He needed to have all of those units in the fight already. They could have been on the high ground, that would have been fine. But just have them in the fight. Like, there were so many units there. He must have been waiting for a drop in the main or something, because that was just way too much.
Yeah, he also didn't have any mines set up, like, in front, and he didn't really have any buildings floating in the air to buffer some of the dragoon damage. Like, you see that often these days, where Terrans will float a barracks over their third base, but that also wasn't there. So the Zealots just ran in, and then the goons didn't even have to worry about getting their AI messed up at all.
Yeah, he was completely unprepared for that. Now, he did have 12, harassment of ultrasound on the map, which was actually fine. If he had had everything else, in a ball there, he would have survived even with that. Now, not having any mines, I understand. It's because he wants to push to his third and he doesn't want to push through mines.
Yep.
But like he actually had an opportunity to establish mines there when Best pulled back, but he didn't take it. And then, even after not doing that, he had enough units to survive, but just like half his units were in the main.
Yep, that is true. This is going to be the final break of the day, and then we'll be back with our Deciders match. It is now time for our last series of the day. It is going to be Best versus Action. It's going to be our first Protoss versus Zerg of the day, and our only one. Action looked very strong early on, but kind of let a few mistakes keep him from making it into the round of 8 versus Sharp. But Best coming back strong, taking down Royal here. And now, as I've stated numerous times, we've got a rematch from last season. And that series was very close for both sides.
Yeah, we're finally going to get to see Best's usually very aggressive PvZ here.
Yeah, I want to see the Dark Archon. I want to see the Maelstrom. I really want to see players go for like 8-gate Reaver. Have you seen that type of play? It's when Zerg players kind of overpower, like they build third base and they take a fourth base and they rely on Sunkens for too long. But I rarely get to see that. But I've always thought, like, isn't like 8-gate Reaver like just like a really strong push? But you almost never see it.
Well, maybe you don't see it now because Zergs aren't taking... they're not going 4-base Sunken anymore, you know? They're going 3-base units. And that sort of style is really like
anti-SimCity, pretty much.
Yeah.
People aren't really doing, so that might be why, I'm not sure.
Well, I think if we were going to see that type of style... Oh, actually, for some reason I was thinking La Campanella was Tempest. I think Tempest is actually a map where Zerg players could potentially try and split it. Larva-esque. We'll see, though.
Yeah.
It is our first map of the series. And let's get into our game. So in the top left, the one and only, it is Action. And in the bottom left, one of the few remaining Protosses, it is Best.
And this is indeed, like you were saying, a map that you can go for a third base on another mains natural with a fourth behind it, simply because you've got the high ground Sunkens right there and then the high ground Lurkers. It's very strong. But even with that, a lot of Zerg users have chosen not to do it. Just because they're not used to that style, it's not really popular on other maps these days. So I guess they'd rather go with what they have practice with.
Yeah, the only player that I remember in recent memory to play like that is Larva, and we're looking at recent match history between these two players. 6-1 in Best's favor. So heavily on his side in this particular match.
Yeah, he's really good against Zerg.
I know.
Which is funny, because that was always his weakness. At least that's what people said. He did make it to a finals, himself though. So, I mean, he wasn't bad, but yeah, the Dark Archon really lets you skip tech, as you were saying. Like, you can skip Stargate because you have a Dark Archon if you want to. You can even theoretically skip Robo because you might not run Overlord instead of getting an Observer, so...
Yep. I have seen that only a couple times. We do have no gate expand this time. It's going to be a Forge opener. Been seeing more and more Forge openers these days for whatever reason. We do have a 12 hatch from Action, and he's going to get scouted pretty much last. So already this is a great opener for him.
He delayed the Forge by a little bit too. So hedging against not going to be a 4-pool or anything like that. And the reason he did that is that it let the probe mine for a bit longer, so he actually got more cash doing that.
Yep, every little bit of money makes a big difference at this level. Now, can you cannon rush this? This doesn't look like the best. Like, just looking at the terrain, it doesn't look like a cannon rushable area, but he at least was trying to fake something. He at least forced one drone off the mineral line, and then the drone decided, oh, nope, no cannon rush, so we'll go back to mining. We got the Nexus coming down. Gate should be coming down in just a second. And Action, where's that? Oh, third base at another natural. This could be...
Alright, he's doing it.
This could be what I was hoping for. There we go, man.
Yeah. Not popular anymore, but definitely great on a map like this. Actually viable on most maps. But good even on a map like this.
Yeah, if you guys are unaware of what I'm talking about, just search Larva versus Bisu. There's at least a 50-50 shot that You're gonna get a split map epic game between those two players.
Yeah, they both like to play that way. Bisa likes to play management games where you run around and outmaneuver the Zerg, and Larva likes to take 4 bases fast. So.
Well, the probe.
But anyway, he hasn't scouted the 3rd base yet.
Yeah, he doesn't know exactly where it is. He may be thinking that it's top middle, and it's not exactly there. We do have cybernetics coming down, and Probe's still alive, so he's getting off good intel on exactly what Zerg's doing. He sees the lair.
Yeah, being in the Zerg main for this long is huge, because if you're not, you just have to guess, and you die if you guess wrong. Including, by the way, if you guess any sort of attack and Zerg makes drones. So, him having this is great.
Yep, and we know even though there is high ground, and you would think it would dissuade Zerg players from all-inning, we saw Killer go for a 3-hatch all-in on this map and ended up getting him a victory. So,
yeah, and you can, of course, also Mutalisk all-in.
Yeah,
and by the way, this is a good map for a mass Muta sunken counterattack styles, actually.
Yep, I think that's what Ivory ended up trying to do versus Bisu, but Bisu smelled it from a mile away, ended up going double Stargate and just completely blind countered him with that opener. The probe still doesn't know where that hatch is. Maybe now he suspects it's at top right. Zealot moved out, but now has decided he needs to turn around.
Well, if you don't scout the 3rd anywhere else, then you can algebraically know that it is where you didn't scout. So he may be realizing at this point what's going on.
I think we had a Stargate in the main for best. Wait a minute, there's 2 big buildings that went down. Is that double Stargate? That is double Stargate.
Oh, wow.
He thinks it is going to be mass mutas.
Well, this build order it's good if there's mass early mutas, but it's playable otherwise too. You're hoping to surprise the Zerg and kill a bunch of overlords. Which is like, it's viable unless Zerg goes like 4-hatch mass hide or something. Which we're not seeing, so this could work.
Yep, we did have the 4th hatch going down at top right. 5th hatch probably coming down pretty soon. Lings, not really an excessive amount, only 8. Don't think there's enough to run by these zealots. And for now, Action's actually the one that's in the dark. Not sure exactly what Protoss is going for.
You're also hoping you're hoping Zerg is greedy when you do this, because look at how he put the 2nd Stargate in the corner.
Yep.
The way Zerg would scout this is he would sacrifice a pair of Skirts. Skirts have such a short vision range that you actually have to sacrifice them to the cannon to see everything. And a lot of times Zergs aren't willing to do that. And if they're not, then the 2 Stargate Corsair becomes a real threat.
Well, speaking of greedy, there's the 6th hatch, and it's at the other main at top right. This is about as greedy of an opener as you can go for, and this is the exact type of style that I wanted to see from Zerg, and I was hoping Protoss would counter with Reaver play, but we know that that's not going to happen. Citadel coming in for best. That's going to be the follow-up. But when,
Alright, so he's going to scout a bit here. Will he see the Stargate?
Yeah, but does it matter? The Citadel's so late. Okay, now he sees 4 Corsairs. So
yeah, that's a good point, actually. When you see a late Citadel like that, will you be suspicious? He also saw 4 Corsairs, so
yeah,
he might actually be understanding what's happening at this point.
Well, we got Evolution Chamber already done, so he'll be able to spore up. He knows that the Zealots can't move out without speed. That means that he's pretty safe right now. Also, of course, he has the Ling sitting outside of the base. Look at that double spore. He knows exactly what's going on.
He must know, right?
Yeah, and if he was not getting armor on his air a minute ago, he's definitely getting now.
Yeah, I agree with that, because he already committed to not having a Hydra then, right? So he should go air versus air. And you can totally play air versus air. You can go mute the Scourge with armor and beat even 2 Stargate Corsair.
Well, there's the instant robo. I don't know what this style is from Best, because he spent a lot to get these Corsairs out, which have done nothing. Then he decided he's going to go Citadel with Templars, I imagine. Now he's also going Robo. All of those buildings...
It seems like a drop, DT drop or something.
Okay, DT drop. That makes sense, because top right doesn't have the spores set up just yet.
Yeah.
If he can kill some Overlords, DT drop could be great. Look how fast the Overlords die in the Scourge.
Oh, no. Okay, he got 2 Corsairs. I thought it was going to get 0, but still. That wasn't the play right there.
Somehow 2 Zealots got across the map. I don't even know how that happened. 3 Zealots even.
Oh, there's only 1 sunken.
Oh, well, okay, he's not gonna go for it. He could have, but he's not. There could be lings in those eggs. Actually, he's control blocked, so those have to be overlords.
Oh man, what I
Just
thought
utterly devastating damage.
Yeah, what I thought was good defense with the double spores, all of a sudden he's had to build just 1 billion overlords. Supplies have stagnated.
Yeah. There are two things that went wrong. First of all, he was really skimping on the edge, like lowest possible amount of units and max drones. And if you do that, your execution has to be perfect. And his Scourge micro, his Scourge flank, was not perfectly executed. It just was not, you know, they were not spread out enough.
Yeah, and you're right about the DT drop, because there's the shuttle, there's the DTs being loaded up. A Zealot attacked top middle. There's only one sunken, like you were saying. That means that this is probably going to get taken down. Instant drone pull. Good defense. He doesn't even really need to kill drones. If he just sits there with the Zealots and the drones just don't mind, that's basically the same
I completely agree. Hashtag just sit there.
Yeah, just sit there.
In an arc or otherwise, and it's really going to do a lot.
The shuttle is moving out to top left, it looks like. In the main, there's a sunken going down.
Now, this is going to be a classic DT Sair combo with a drop now. He does have a Spore in the main and a Sunken. So he does have something, but I don't know. Like, how many DTs do we have here? Could he just overpower this?
I think it's 2.
2, okay, so maybe not then.
Yeah, with the Spore there to support, these DTs are just going to be stuck in the main. The Zealots, we have a massive engagement at top middle. Lings are going to clean them up. It's like Action will have stabilized all his bases, and he's rushing Hive. He's got Hive.
Oh, look at this though.
Yeah,
if he gets the Spire,
can he get it?
Could be nice.
Of course
I think he might, man.
DT.
Oh, dude, good mineral walk on that. He actually mineral walked the DT to bug it out.
Oh, it's not dead. He's gonna... Okay, it's gonna die in a second, but yeah, that was a good move there. Action stabilized his bases though, so he's back to 4-base mining on all of them with Hive.
And Hive.
Yeah,
and here's the thing. Best did a lot of damage, but what he got to show for it? He invested it in gateways, so, I mean, he doesn't have a third. This Reaver has to do a lot, and I'm not sure it will, because Action's just growing out of control here.
Yeah, he doesn't really have good tech either. Like, he has Sairs and he has 1 Reaver. Where's the Archons, though? Okay, well, there's the Archon, of course. Where's the Templars, I guess, is what I mean.
He might go for an elevator to the top right. But there's gonna be a Arena Gland soon. He's got 1/1 links with KwarK on the way.
Yeah, elevator would be amazing. There's no counter to this. There's nothing to stop. There's no way you're killing the Corsairs, obviously.
Right.
Oh, the Reaver bust! This is what I was waiting for. Here we
Yeah,
go.
That's huge. Also, instead of elevator, he's just gonna frontally attack. Alright.
There's only one Sunken. And the defense is just Lings. Every single unit here is good versus Lings.
Oh no, I think he just dies here. Holy shit.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything. Like, he doesn't have any tech. If he builds Mutas, he's gonna get run over by the Corsairs. I haven't seen a Hydra Den all game.
Yeah, he only has links. Which is great, except, you know, your Archon.
Damn, I was not expecting this specific timing, but it hit right at the correct moment. The Lings are gonna funnel in versus Mass Reaver, or not necessarily Mass Reaver, but you know what I mean. This is not ideal, to say the least, for Zerg. We've got Overlords probably shutting down, or Corsairs shutting down Overlords at top right. Oh, well, this is one way to save the game. He donks off his Corsairs.
You know, if he had to mute the Scourge in time for this, he could have survived, but the mutas are just a little bit too late. He wasn't expecting this early Reaver attack.
Yeah, he busted the natural, which is obviously huge, but he did lose all of his Corsairs. Now, actually, Mutas can save the game. Maybe.
He's gonna have to counterattack now, because there's a third base for Protoss. And of course he's gonna take care of that Reaver somehow, but I think he can do that maybe. I don't know if he can even.
That's still so many Zealots. The Reaver is still alive. There's an Archon that can deal a lot of damage, not just to the Sunken, but also to the Mutalisk. We've got a lot of Lings coming through the back. If Action wants to hold this, he's got to take down that Reaver. It's got so many kills. There it goes, finally. But there's still an Archon in the main. Oh man, all the drones got crushed. 18 kill Archon. There were like 20 kills on the Reavers, both of them. We've got upwards of 60 kills across all these units. Just non-stop Zealots flooding across the map. The Mutas still haven't been able to deal with this single Archon.
That was great actually to go Reaver there, because that's the weakness of somebody who only has Sunkens. Right, he didn't have Sunken Mute, he just had Sunken. And obviously Reavers, they just outrange Sunkens, so he was able to take it down.
This hatch may end up dying. Hive, well, Pool's obviously going to be taken down. I don't think the Hive is going to get taken down. What best could... Oh my gosh, there you go, he is going to get the hatch. But the damage is done. Supplies have been crushed for action. 4th base going up for best.
I like this opening for best, because he was expecting, I think, the 4-base play on a map like this, which is smart, you know, it's obviously good. And so he was like, I'm just gonna go all air, you know,
Yeah.
with the Sears, with the shuttle, and then finally he switches it up to a ground assault.
That's triple Stargate.
Damn, that is
triple
crazy,
Stargate.
dude.
But yeah,
Triple Stargate.
I agree with you. I do like this build. You know, when I saw the Citadel, I thought to myself, man, this is an interesting follow-up because there's going to be mass Sunkens and you're spending all your gas on Corsairs. But the DT drop was great. And then the follow-up with the Reavers, even better. We've got the Reavers unloading here to defend, so this base is not going to get shut down. And if you're action here, what do? Do you transition to Hydras? He's got... I mean, Protoss has all of the units that you want versus Massling.
Fun fact, by the way, if you stretch the definitions enough, then Best basically went Corsair Reaver.
Yeah, he did. We're going to have a Reaver drop, I imagine, in the main right here. There's about 6 Corsairs trailing this Reaver. Reaver shot. Gets 1 kill.
Okay, I think he got 2, right? Anyway.
Something in the main to defend these Zealots again. But there's just no way you can kill this Reaver. The Sayers are sitting there babysitting it. I did notice that the Mutas do have +2 armor though. That means they're extremely tanky versus just the 1 upgrade from the Sayers.
He's gonna take this out air to air, but I mean it's a 4-base Protoss versus a 3-base Zerg who's in shambles right now.
Yeah, and these Mutas, well, I guess they can be useful versus not Archons versus Templars, but you don't really want them versus triple Stargate, double Archon. You would prefer to have something like Hydras or Lurkers or really anything else. DT moving out. I'm not sure if there's even an Overlord. There is an Overlord.
I really got like old Bishu vibe from this game, really. It was just like all harassment.
Yep, that is totally true. I kind of wish that those DTs had morphed into Dark Archons right now, because Maelstrom would end this game. Mutas clump up one time and they all get blasted by the Archons and the Corsairs.
Dark Archon would have been a good choice for sure. But he's just choosing not to do it, you know. You can basically choose how to win right now.
You know, I'm kind of surprised that if you're gonna triple Stargate like this, right? Like, if you're gonna build this many Corsairs, why not get the Fleet Beacon so you can at least get +2 weapon? Because Zerg, if they go +3 armor on the Mutas, the Corsairs all of a sudden don't do anything really. Not that I
think... you gotta keep up in upgrades, or you just get dominated air to air as either side.
Not that I think action's gonna come back in from this supply deficit, but you know, there is a reality where if the Mutas get high enough with high enough upgrades, they will win.
Oh, dude. Okay, cracking good units.
See you, Nexus.
3 base versus 3. I mean, okay. Are we back in business? I don't think we are, but it's making something happen.
Yeah, he needs some more production, I think. He's constantly having to build more and more Sunkens just to defend DTs and Zealots. Yeah. But if he could get like 2 or 3 more hatches, get 7 hatch production, 8 hatch production, maybe he could have a shot. But 5 hatch versus...
You really want to have 4 bases, but Best has been doing a good job of that. He's always sending a few units to force Sunkens. And it's actually hurting the economy a lot. Observe.
Well, you know what's scary about this is if we look at the production capability for Protoss, if somehow Protoss's army gets wiped on the map, there's only 1 Robo for Reaver production. There's only like 5 gates, and then there's 3 Stargates.
Yeah.
But the Corsairs are not that upgraded.
He might lose. I mean, maybe
he might lose.
I think he might lose this. Okay, units coming back to try to defend. Oh no, dude. Are we seeing the most epic comeback of all time?
He might.
Dude! Okay. For once in the history of StarCraft, Cracklings do not get the Nexus in time.
Yeah. Never before seen. Okay, he denies the 4th base again. Action is doing an amazing job to come back in this scenario. He catches some.
Oh no, he's gonna get the Corsairs too.
That's not all. Okay, Scourge, can they connect? Oh, he's taken down.
Yeah, that's pretty good actually.
Oh, that's really low Corsair count now. It's 5.
Dude, I can't believe what I'm seeing. He might actually do it.
He might actually. There's 11 mutas here with +2 armor. There's Scourge in the army. There's no Storm. There's only 1 Archon to help defend. Okay, I guess this base is a little bit too fortified to commit here. Action's still struggling at around only 80 supply, though.
Dude, is this a 1-base Protoss? Because the natural for Protoss mines out first.
Yeah, it is 1
So,
base.
3-base Zerg. Zerg is just ahead right now.
Well, Zerg has 3 bases, but his drone count is not that great. Zerg is going to kill these Zealots again. Corsairs is not enough.
Yeah, that is a lot of Zealots.
Not willing to risk it. If we look at best money, like you said, 1 base mining, and he only has 500. Oh my gosh! More Corsairs dying.
Okay, but the Archon count is out of control, though.
Whoa,
because he still has the gas from his bases, right? Even an assimilator with no gas left helps for Archons.
That was such a big hit there. He really needed to get rid of those mutalisks. Now the muta count's what, at like 4 or something? That's a completely different ball game compared to what it was a minute ago.
Alright, so I guess he didn't quite have the economy to keep this going. Like his main has like 5 drones or something, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a valiant effort, but I think now there's enough Archons mixed in with this Zealot army that he can knock down top left.
Yeah, Zerg was in that dark hole where you have to make units because you don't have any drones, but then, you know. Yeah.
GG. Well, that game, it really delivered. Best had a good build, really outplayed Action in the early stages. I think he realizes right there that this game went way longer than it should have, but Action, props to him staying in it. Like, getting all those Corsairs, you know, you actually had me for a moment. I'm like, really? Is this actually happening?
Yeah, I know, dude. That was scary, man. I mean, okay, he demonstrated some great tactics there, because if you play like that, but you're not behind, imagine the power, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Triple Stargate Corsair +1 into +2 mutas, and they just can't fight them. But best, he puts a point on the board for Team Protoss, 1 game away from making it out into the round of 8. And I think second map, was it Polypoid? I think it was.
Oh, dude, I don't remember, but we're about to find out.
Yeah, I think Invaders our last game. But you knew that this series was going to deliver, because last season it was just amazing, and we're living up to the hype right now. Hopefully Action can tie it up so we can get to game 3. Well, what do you think, Action? Okay, well, I guess the 4-hatch style, it was way too greedy. Do you think he should try and go for it again? Oh, never mind, we're going on Invader.
Okay, Invaders. But there's no other map that it's as good on. And the thing is, nobody except for Larva wants to play that style.
Yeah.
He was doing it because it was good on the map. And it was good on the map. He just, you know, he played on the edge with the minimum possible units, maximum drones. And when you do that, you gotta have a perfect execution, and he didn't have it. Right? So he lost too many overlords. And then, even then, he was still in the game, right?
Yeah.
But then he didn't have mutalisks in time for the Reavers and stuff. So, you know, basically he had Sunkens only, not Muta Scourge Sunken.
You know, it's actually looking like some games that I play when I'm playing Circuit is Mass Sunken and Mass Muta. I don't think we're going to see that this time, because Invader completely different. I think we could see some 973 action. We've seen a lot of Hydra pressure builds whenever we get Invader. A lot of, you know, counterattack potential, and 973 allows you to do that.
Yeah, early Hydralisks are fine on this map, you know? You can go for the bust or the fake bust, and then Protoss has to fight his way to the 3rd base, whichever one he chooses to take. So, definitely an option here on this map. And very popular right now as well. Wouldn't surprise me at all. There's so much you can do, though. Like, you can... You know, you can go for, like, what Killer did, where he went, like, fast Lurker. Right? Take a fast 4th. Delay the Protoss 3rd, that's an option. But, yeah, really anything is a possibility here, except for 4 base. That's right.
Yep. We do have Pylon on the low ground, as expected. We've got the probe going across quite quickly, because it is a 2-player map. He's looking to deny the 12 hatch. Overlord, will he spot the probe? Nope, so maybe, if Action's getting greedy, he may think that he can get away with a 12 hatch, but we know that that's not going to happen.
Yeah, so we got the early... Finally somebody actually does it, like the obvious elephant in the room, which is to send the probe to delete the hatch. He's gonna have to go for 12 pool here, most likely.
Yep.
Nope, okay. I mean, is he? He's just gonna go for it.
I mean, he may allow him to go the hatch first, because then that'll allow Protoss to just go Nexus first.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so he's gonna go hatch first on the 3rd. That's what I was thinking, exactly. So you send 2 drones out, or even just 1 if Protoss doesn't chase. Yes, so now he goes into the main, and now he actually does take the natural. But you're right, it's gonna be Nexus first.
Yep, there's the Nexus first. So, Best got what he wanted. He's got a really big econ opener, and we've got the pool coming down from Action. Everything pretty normal. And this is also going to allow Best to be able to skip the Forge. He can just go straight Gateway if he wants.
Yeah, in fact, you can even get, like, I shit you not, Cybernetics core and gas before cannon. You can actually do that. If you're in the Zerg main, and he only makes 2 links, and he chases your probe with the links, you can do that.
Yep, I remember Mini pulling that out versus Queen like 6 seasons or so ago, and he just blasted Queen so hard with that build, but we're not going to see it this time because it ends up being a Forge anyways. And
yeah, so...
3rd hatch at top middle, as expected. Gas coming down for Action also. Slightly later than I remember normal gas timing being in Zerg vs. Protoss. I remember it being like 2:35, so a 10-second difference. Not massive.
Action was pooling larva for a while there, and Best may have reacted to that with the cannon.
Okay.
You know, because if you see him not spending larva, and the pool is about to finish, you might expect some links, right?
Yep, and there's the first round of lings and a drone.
But it was a bit of a fake out, so I'm impressed by Action for doing that. You know, he was up to 4 larva for a while, but then he actually just made drones anyway. So Best could have greeded harder, but he fell for the fake.
Yep, and it's hard to tell, right? Like, the only way you can tell is if they build the lings and then a larva pops out and the egg is still morphing, then it's lings. If the egg completes before the larva pops out, then you know it's a drone. Now, this is bad. He just lost his probe and instantly Hydra goes down.
And also, he didn't send a second probe out on the map to mineral walk in. So, he doesn't see this.
Yeah, he has no idea. He's going to have to just make a guess, like he said. There's enough lings to make sure that no probe ever gets back into the main also. So this is going to be a tough read for Best.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing you could do is, like, you could try to get in there with some Zealots. But if you leave with all your Zealots, you can get counterattacked and die to speedlings. That's also dangerous.
He may just run in. Like, look at this ramp. The Overlord.
There's only 1 cannon, dude.
Yeah, dude, you have nothing on the ramp? Not even a Zealot? Not even a probe? I think he's waiting
I think
for
this
speed.
might be it, bro.
Oh, there he goes. Speed in. We're in there. Oh, yeah, I think that was a smart move to just run into the main.
Okay, I don't think he's got a cannon in his main, which means this is bad news.
Yep, really bad. And this is also going to throw off Best's, like, read on the flow of the game. We know that there's a Hydra attack coming, but he may not even be thinking about that right now because he's worried about these 6 lings in the main.
Yeah, I mean, this could be like a Mutalisk follow-up. It could be what we're getting, Hydras. It could be like mass drones and macro, and... yeah, it's just so hard now. Like, even if you guess right, you're still behind. And if you guess wrong, you just die at this point.
Yeah, this was a really good defense from Best so far with the probe pull. He killed 3 out of the 6 lings. Good pylon block in the back to make sure that the lings don't come. And the probe... Does he spot the Hydras?
Okay.
No, okay, he did. He actually moved his camera at the last second, so he knows it is a Hydra bust.
Alright, so he's making lemonade out of these lemons as best he can, but I'll tell you, that's some sour lemonade, dude. There's no sugar in it. It's just lemon juice for breakfast right now.
Yep. The probes are finally going to take down the last Zergling. I think Best is going to have enough to defend these Hydras, but for now it's only 4 cannons. We only see... Okay, actually that's more Hydras than I thought. What's that, 10 Hydras?
Yeah, so that's a severe amount. Now, will he continue, or will he just back off and make drones? I have to imagine he's not going to make more than this. But some people like to continue. That is a style. Even when the Protoss knows, they go on for a while.
Yep, and he's going to knock down that Forge. Easily take down that upgrade. I think that upgrade's about a minute away. I don't think there's really any chance of this completing. The Lings really disrupted the build from Best quite a bit, so he only has 5 Zealots to even try and contest that, make that... Well, I guess one of them bled off. He sees only 6 Hydras, and he's like, well, wait a minute, I can fight this.
Trying to save the Forge long enough to get that upgrade.
But there are more Hydras.
Oh, did he just get it?
Oh, actually, did it complete? I can't believe it completed. So he must have upgraded +1 instantly. However, that's a lot of Hydras, man. You gotta back off. Yep, pulling the boys.
One cannon goes down.
There's also...
We got some exposed morphing ones, too, or warping ones.
Yeah, he's gonna snipe the gate. He's gonna snipe the Forge. There's also only 1 pylon there, by the way. If that pylon dies, everything's unpowered.
Yeah, I think he might hit. If he goes right now, yeah, he can do it before the cannons finish.
This is so close. Best is losing a lot of cannons. He lost his gate. He lost his Forge. Did he rebuild his Forge? What's he rebuilding? What's he building on the right side? Oh,
he has cannons, so he must have a Forge, yeah. They didn't show us, but...
Wow. Action really committed to this. A lot of probes pulled, not a lot of Zealots. There's only 1 cannon firing because the other 3 are in the middle of morphing in action. He may be able to tie up this series. He's done it.
Yep. Yeah, okay. So you called it with the early Hydra play.
Yep, the early Hydra play coming in clutch. And that means that we are going to get to game 3. And Best not happy about that. Those Lings really disrupted his entire game plan.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess he just had one of those moments where he completely forgot about the ramp, and when he finally thought about it, the Lings just happened to be right there at that moment.
Yeah, he could have been more greedy in the beginning, but then he was actually too greedy, only having 1 cannon for that long.
Well, just how it goes sometimes, I guess. But now we are on match point for both sides, critical for both sides to get a victory here, because they will be eliminated if they do not. And third map, oh, of course, Dark Origin.
Dark Origin.
I remember...
Now, do you remember what the PvC stats were on the old version of this map?
I don't remember what the stats were, but I remember seeing quite a bit of Hydra play on this map. Like, I don't remember Muta being that often played.
Yeah, I remember Terran had 45% in both matchups, but I don't remember Protoss versus Zerg, so I don't know. Also, it's a new version, so we really don't know.
Yeah, that is true. In the top left, striking back in game 2. It's action. And we've got our Protoss in the bottom right. It is Best. I'm thinking back to last season's Dark Origin games. There was that Snow versus Jadon game where Snow just stormed the middle bases over and over and over.
Yeah.
It feels like whoever gets control over the center just has a massive advantage.
That's true. In any matchup, literally, well, I guess Zerg versus Zerg doesn't matter, but any other matchup, if you have the center, it's just brutal, dude. You can't take a 4th.
Yeah. You just can't mind. You just can't mind whether it's Lurkers, Dark Swarm, Storm, whatever the case, Siege. It doesn't really matter. You're just never going to be mining there. And we do have Pylon going down and actually going back into the main instead of
so it's a
instantly.
Forge expansion, most likely.
You think it's Forge expand?
Oh no, sorry. I mean it's a gateway. Sorry, most likely. Sorry, that's what I meant. I mean it could be Forge expansion, but then it's just taking a risk. Greeting, which you could do. Some people even go Nexus first, Forge expansion.
Yeah, like what we just saw last game, and here comes the probe, so it is going to be the gate expand.
Most likely a gate here.
But
no, okay, he's taking the risk.
He's going to cannon rush. He wants to cannon rush.
I mean, yeah, this is a good map for it, I suppose.
Well, that's the only reason you would go gate here, like, or go for forge this quickly.
Oh, I just realized. On a 4-player map, you scout after the pylon, but on a 2-player map, you know you're gonna get, like, you know you're gonna scout your opponent because you know where he is, so you can actually scout later with the forge expansion.
Well,
so he could just be being more economical here.
Well, look at this. He sees no hatch. He's gonna see no pool.
He knows.
He's
He
gonna
has to.
know that there's a third hatch somewhere. He needs to find out where it is, though. But this hatch is so far away. If he tries to cannon rush, even though it's late, well, it looks like
If he had a map hack and just cannon rushed the third base,
Yeah.
that would have been sick, actually.
Well, I was thinking, even if he goes for a delayed cannon rush, like, think about how far you have to pull drones
Yeah, exactly,
to do that.
I know.
But he's
So
gonna...
just making a pylon actually is like economically worth it for you because the drones have to go for so long. That could have been a play, you're right.
Well, he's gonna just take a Nexus behind it, but this was a cute move from Action. He must have thought that this could have been a cannon rush, and now he just avoids it completely by doing this. I think Pro got off first shot, by the way. Gotta be careful.
Got a second drone coming in. And again, choosing not to block it with the pylon because he would rather just invest in his own infrastructure. Which is a stylistic thing I see him do in PvT also, where he doesn't send the early probe a lot. He just actually doesn't take the gas. He's one of the few Protoss experts who doesn't do that on 2-player maps.
Okay. I didn't realize that. We do have Probe just hanging around. Gateway has gone up. It's about halfway done, if I remember correctly. So Cybernetics should be coming in pretty soon. First couple lings are out. Only 2, though. Oh, actually 4. Okay, he wants this probe out.
We might see another early probe die.
Yep.
And I don't see a second probe on the way in here, so... He's in dire straits now again.
Yeah, and with the third hatch already done, he could just build a Hydra Den there whenever he wants. But so far, that was for Lair. No Hydra Den.
Okay, immediate sell-off move out, because he knows he needs vision.
Yeah, he needs to figure out what this is. Probe, dangerously low. Oh, I think he canceled Lair and went Hydra Den.
Yeah, we do see something on the map. I can't quite tell in the resolution,
Oh,
but...
actually, that's the pool. Never mind. I was thinking
okay.
that that pool placement was a Hydra Den.
yeah, but we remember the pool there, so... Anyway, Link's zoning out this one Zealot, but that of course allows the probe to come in, so... A good drone block, though.
Yep, you're not getting in here. You will not get in here and see what I'm doing.
But he will see 4 extra Links come out. They're not showing it to us, but I'm pretty sure he saw that, right?
Yeah.
So now he knows there's a total of 8 Zerlings on the map.
Yep, Zealot has snuck around to mid-left, though. If these Lings are ever out of position, he can counterattack that third base pretty quickly.
So this time the probe distracts the Links to let the Zealot scout the third. But he still has not scouted the main, which is slightly concerning.
Yeah, I guess one thing he scouted so far that's different from last game is there's still no speed on the Zerglings. Zealot does get into the third base, and he is going to disrupt this mining.
He sees the amount of drones too. So he knows that there's no timing coming right now.
Yep.
Because you wouldn't have, he even sees another drone come out, so that's very useful actually.
Yep, now speed kicks in, and this Zealot got crushed. At least he disrupted the mining a little bit, but really not much gain from that. In the main, yep. Oh, probe
Oh, he gets in.
Gets to see the spire.
Alright, pretty solid so far from Best, you know? He knows what's happening, he hasn't overreacted to anything that isn't happening.
Yep, and that should be a hatchery coming down. There's a hatchery at the natural also. And Citadel this time, not going to go double Stargate.
Only one cannon too, but it's okay now because he's got a plugged wall, right? And he knows there's nothing coming because of his scouting.
Yeah, he's looking solid right now. We've got the second gate coming down at the natural also. Really going to start ramping up that Zealot count pretty quickly. Spire is done though. Only 1 Ser out on the map. Don't think it will be in time to snipe an Overlord. Maybe it will.
Will he get out in time? That's the question. It's gonna be close, but if I were a betting man, I would say yes.
Yeah, I think it'll get out. The Corsair, I mean. Okay.
But he's choosing to kill this instead of scout. And in this case, I agree with that, because he already scouted everything anyway. So he doesn't need to scout anything more with the Corsair.
Yep, and we do have the first few Mutalisks out on the map. These Zealots, they need to get out of dodge, man. They're not long for this world if they commit. And that's just going to be...
classic Mutas to stop the Zealots.
If there's going to be a donation, really, of 4 Zealots, they're not going to get intel either, other than just seeing 4 or 5 Mutas, which doesn't really tell you that much. So well done from Action, good defense. Oh, he spots a Hydra.
Oh, okay. Useful. But he lost a bunch of units for that, so... I have to question that a little bit, because everything he saw there, he could also have seen with just a careful Corsair that was ready to bail. So I guess he was hoping there wouldn't be any Mutalisks, and he was hoping to use that +1 against Lings, maybe.
Well, we've got Evolution Chamber coming in. Double Cannon in the main, so he's safe versus Mutalisk harassment. Right now, Action seems to be in between powering and also pumping out Hydras, since I see his 6th hatch also coming down.
Yeah, looks like he made only Mutalisks to deal with the +1 Zealots, and now it's all Hydras. So he may be trying to do something with the pre-storm timing. And he's not going to be able to run into these cannons, of course, but he can at least delay the 3rd for a lot.
In that drone, looks like it was just a rally point drone. Thought he may be looking to take a 4th base, but we've got the first caped man out onto the map.
And that's always a potential hazard. But right now, there's nothing else for Zerg to deal with, so he should be able to keep that under control.
Yeah, I didn't see an Overlord really in the natural. Maybe he can sneak in there. Oh, he may snipe this drone. Oh, that's going to be a cancel.
There's no Overlord speed yet, so he delays this. That's pretty good, actually.
Well, he better cancel. He did not cancel. That's a big loss.
I gotta test if he actually, if you actually lose money by not canceling, because I remember, like, I have some vague memory of me testing this and seeing you actually get the money back, even if you don't. Or maybe that's for upgrades.
Yeah, that's for upgrades. Yeah, I think you get 75% back from upgrades if I remember correctly. And we've got the Dark Archon body. This is what we were waiting for.
Okay, so he's not gonna go for many Corsairs. He's gonna have only these 2, since he's going Dark Archon instead. But, you know, he's just gonna mass Hydras. I mean, you don't really want Dark Archon against only 3 Mutalisks. Or 4, which is like what we have, so... It's more like a preemptive measure against a Muta switch later, I believe.
Yeah. And it's good versus versus Hydras, too. Like, you can have some money...
Yeah, it is okay against Hydras.
Some money hits.
The alternative to not die to a Muta switch is to have like a bunch of Corsairs, and those are even worse against Hydras than a Dark Archon is. So,
well, look at this. This seems like pretty quick lurker aspect coming in, and that's going to completely shut down any potential timing that he wants to make with this Dark Archon. Robo's only halfway done. That's going to give Action enough time to set up these lurkers and probably solidify his 4th base.
Yeah, he's totally safe until there's an observer, so he can drone like a madman right now, and it's 4 base to 2. And then you still have to get out of the lurker containment, which is brutal on this map.
Yeah, I really like Action's position right now. He's even in supply. This is a choke also. Like, how do you even get out of this as Protoss? He doesn't have that many Templars. That's 2 Templars. Like,
yeah, he's just outmaneuvered him without doing anything.
I guess this is what happens when you don't have any map presence with your Zealots. Like, he moved across 1 time before speed, lost all those Zealots, and then never made a move again, and now he's just mega contained.
Yeah, best play so far. It has been... Okay, he's coming out with the Observer now, trying to snipe some lurkers, but... Yeah, just gonna lose it immediately. Okay, no, saves it with the Maelstrom, alright. Clutch micro.
Yeah,
but still...
Good Maelstrom, but it's still...
It's lurker against Zealot, you know?
Yeah. And look, because of the Sim City that Best has made, he can't get out more than 1 goon at a time.
Yeah. Alright, so why did this happen? What went wrong? Well, Best's play, it failed to take the initiative, because, like, he scouted everything he needed to first, which was a good play. Then he killed an Overlord with a Corsair instead, because he didn't have to scout. But then, he sent 4 Zealots in, and all they accomplished was scouting. And it's like, you know, making Mutalisks it's a popular move right now. So there wasn't really any synergy. And then he he went to Dark Archon instead of actually playing with Corsairs. So then why even make the Stargate, you know, when he had scouted everything anyway and was going Dark Archon? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, this is going to be a tough situation now. Not only because he can't get out of his natural, but this is also a tiny choke, and Zerg's going to have high ground advantage over here.
Yeah, this is a containment until death right here. Zerg could, even if he wanted to, put a hatchery down and make Sunken Spore Lurker. He doesn't have to, but he could.
Look at this. He can just put a lurker here and just blast the probes before they can even mine. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can open it, and that's good for you, or you can keep it closed, and that's also good for you, as Zerg.
Well, I like what Best did here. He got rid of the gateway, but he can't afford to get rid of the forge right now because it's got a key upgrade. But this could be potentially the last stand for Best. He needs to get out. The storms are great. He gets a lot of lurkers.
Loses both observers.
Yeah, lost both observers, and the Zealots already got chewed up. Is there enough? The storms... he doesn't have enough storms. He's forced to build an Archon. He also lost his Dark Archon. Those lurkers on the left side, even though they got damaged by the single storm, they're not dead yet, and they are dishing out a ton of damage. Supplies have plummeted for Best, down to just 105 now.
This game illustrates why Protoss versus Zerg is like, what's difficult about it, basically. Where it's like, just to come up with an opening that has synergy, that gives you the initiative, it's difficult, you know?
Yeah. Now that he's contained, you're just never getting out. This is like 8 hatch production also. Zerg has equal amount of hatches as Protoss has gateways. There's no storm anymore. Hydra Lurker is just going to crush everything. Zealots get killed before they even get to the lurkers.
Yeah, I mean, from Best's perspective, it feels like you didn't really do anything wrong, but you just die anyway. Like, you just lose by default. Like, that's not how it is, but that's what it feels like. When Zerg just, like, makes lurkers and contains you, and then hashtag just sits there.
Just sits there. Such a deadly strategy. And I think Best sees the writing on the wall here. He has almost no units. He's down to 100 supply. Yeah, but he's going to continue to try and fight, but he doesn't have much longer. Main's basically mined out. Natural, you can see, is getting really low. He still doesn't realize that there's a lurker by this mineral patch, so he's going to send more probes over here, but it's just straight to their death. And you can see the reaction on the cam, the sigh, that he knows that it's over.
What a shame. You know, he had such a good build prepared, such a good stand prepared for the first game on Tempest. But his opening on this map, it just wasn't as... like, he didn't manage to come up with anything as good on this kind of map, unfortunately.
Yep. This is going to be it. He knows that, okay, Templar got sniped. 0 chance now. Zealots all died instantly. GG. Well done to Action. Congratulations to him. And unfortunately, our lone Protoss hero is going to be knocked out.
Yeah, that's a shame. It's a shame. So what's the racial distribution right now for top 8?
4 Zerg, 3 Terran, 1 Protoss. So we're relying on Mini to do some work in the round of 8.
It would be epic if Mini won the tournament, being the only Protoss.
Yeah, that's true. He could pull a Mihu, right? Like in BSL. I think Mihu was the only Terran. Doesn't matter if he's the only Terran. You only need 1 Terran. Goes the distance and takes it all.
We've had that in ASL where it's like only 2 Terrans on top 8, and the finals is a Terran versus Terran. Like,
yep.
You know, so you can't have the underrepresented race win. It can't happen.
Can't happen. So after the interview, I think they're going to do the group draw immediately. I think I remember that being the case. And how that works is players from the same group can't face off versus each other. Seed 1 from each group will face off versus Seed 2. So, for example, we can't see Action versus Sharp again, but we can see something like Action versus... who got out first? Action versus Rush? Did he get out first? Let me think.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, we could see something like Action versus Rush because Rush got out in first, and we could see something like Mini versus Effort because Mini got out in second, and Effort got out in first.
Yeah. Damn, that's a matchup right there. Mini versus Effort.
Yeah, Eon Zerg's really hyped about this season. His boy Soma got knocked out, but he's got a lot of killer Zergs remaining. Effort, Sulky, Hero, and now Action. All of them can go really far, so I know he's very excited.
Oh, is Ian Sorg also a Soma enjoyer? Interesting.
Oh, he's a big Soma enjoyer. He had Soma winning the tournament, man. He's like, this is his season right before he goes to military. He's gonna win.
Oh. Yeah.
But Ian Zerg, he's feeling the effects of the cast a curse. Yesterday, he wanted Bisu to win, and he also got knocked out.
Yeah, that's a shame. Damn, dude. Bisa getting knocked out?
Yeah, there's a lot of upsets this season, like Sharp. You know, you had him on your radar. I didn't. Effort, even though Effort's a great player, there's so many other Zergs that I would have picked before him. He's done very well. Ample did great this season, even though he got knocked out. Killer had upsets. Calm, I couldn't even believe the Calm games.
Yeah, Effort just straight up out macroed Light with Lurker first.
Yeah.
That's the thing that happened.
Yeah. Well, let me read off the players that we have. We've got Effort JYJ, Rush Mini, Sulky Hero, Sharp Action. Out of these players, any matchups that stand out to you that you want to see?
Well, I care about Mini because he's the only Protoss at this point. So, you know, there's that. And then I'm interested in Sharp. Now that he's back, he's good again. How far can he make it, you know? And I guess I'm interested in Effort because of how he's been playing recently.
I actually really want to see JYJ. He obviously won last season. I want to know if it was a fluke or if he's the real deal. Obviously, making it into the round of 8 is a big accomplishment, but if he can make it into the round of 4, so to go at least to the round of 4, I think that would solidify that, yeah, he definitely, it was no fluke last season that he ended up winning it all. And I agree, I also want to see Mini. I want to see Mini versus Sulky, because Mini's got great PvZ, and Sulky's also a monster in Zerg versus Protoss.
Yeah, you might get to see that. It could happen. Definitely feasible.
It could happen. Out of all things I want to avoid, Effort versus Hero. I don't want to see CVZ. Even though Effort had the cool Hive Tech game, Hero, he's so good, ZVC. He's so good Zerg versus Protoss. I don't want to see that particular matchup.
Anyway, good games. I have to go now. Gotta do some stuff.
That's fine. All right, thanks for casting, Voddy, and we'll see you in the future.
Yes, we will. Thank you. Good games.
Bye. All right, guys. So we're wrapping up pretty soon. I think that we're having the group draw afterwards. I mean, I could be wrong. I guess we're gonna find out after the interview with Action. I really did like Action's build on the last game, especially his mind game with the hatch at the third base. I guess it doesn't necessarily counter Cannon Rush, but the fact that he was able to not get his nat taken or not get his nat denied was also a big thing for him. And yeah, Voddy did a good job. You know, in the beginning, the audio was a little bit off. I looked at the feedback from the first time we casted, and I had boosted him way too high. And what's funny is, I boosted him even higher today, but he still was low. But thanks to you guys chiming in on how the audios were, and we were able to balance it out somehow.
지난 시즌 8강에서 김성대 선수에게 아픔을 안겨줬던 도재욱 선수를 끊고 8강에 오르셨기 때문에 이번 시즌 8강 보다 더 나은 자신감을 가지고 다전제 준비하실 수 있을 것 같은데요. 본인의 생각은 어떠신가요?
우선 1등을 해가지고 저그 대 저그를 최대한 피했어야 됐는데 2등하는 바람에 저그전 확률이 높아졌는데 그래도 꼭 준비 잘해서 이기도록 하겠습니다.
김정우 선수, 유영진 선수, 김민철 선수를 만날 가능성이 열려 있습니다.
Looks like Action has a lot to say on these games. Surprised that this interview is going so long.
선수를 상대로 다전제를 준비한다면 본인이 좀 편할 것 같은가요?
근데 저그전도 딱히 상관은 없거든요.
They're talking a lot about the Zerg matchup, so maybe he's talking about ZVZ. You know that we do have 4 Zerg players, I guess he's expecting that it's likely he's going to get ZVZ because Effort made it out in first place. Sulky made it out in first place. The only other player that made it out in first was Rush. So 2 out of 3 chance that he's actually going to play ZVZ here. So they must be asking him about what does he think about his chances of winning going up against either Effort or Sulky.
현장에 와주고 또 이제 집에서도 응원해주는 이제 삼성여대 학생들이랑 뭐 유난히 형, 뭐 코치님들 감사하고 그리고 오늘 제가 마우스를 실수로 안 가져왔거든요. 근데 다행히 집에서 응원하는 기로 했던 애가 이제 유란이가 갖다 줘가지고
네.
좀 다행인 것 같아요. 그래서 고맙다고 전하고 싶어요.
네, 김성대 선수 다시 한번 8강 진출 축하드리고요. 다전제에서도 멋진 모습 기대하겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
자, 이렇게 이번 시즌의 마지막 8강 진출자 저그 김성대 선수와 함께했습니다.
And so we're getting a look at the rundown of how today went. Sharp beating Best, and a great comeback from Sharp. Best let the game slip away a little bit, but Action taking down Royal, then Sharp beating Action. Best kind of crushing Royal in the losers match, and then Action making a good comeback victory versus Best after losing game 1. So still not sure if we're going to do the group draw. Okay, we've got the group draw graphic, so I guess that is going to be happening right now. I'm sure they're just getting all the selection balls ready so that they can pull it out and we can get our round of 8 set and players can prepare for their upcoming matches. Yeah, that is true. Somebody mentioning in the chat that there could be 2 Zerg versus Zergs in the quarterfinals. Oh, yep, we can see the host with all the balls being set up in the front of the big screen TV. Even the commentators pointing it out. So I'm sure we'll be getting into that selection in just a second. And here we go. Yeah, there's a lot of storylines. Action having no championships. The return of Sharp. The return of Effort. JYJ could be a repeat. That is all very true. Mini.
김현재 선수가 나왔기 때문에 공을
Wow.
제외하고 재추첨을 진행하겠습니다.
If the bracket is set up where it's, you know, on the top side, Rush and Sulky, this is already an insane top side bracket.
유영진 선수와 8강에서 만나게 될 선수는요.
If this is Hero, this would be crazy. Oh my god.
저그 조일장
Oh
선수입니다.
my god.
자, 이렇게 A조는 테란 대 저그전.
Oh, I guess Mini can't play Rush because they played versus each other in the round of 16. So that's why. And then that gives us action versus effort. Alright. Sharp versus Mini. Sharp ended up winning today versus Best. And actually, Mini played Best played a similar style to how Mini generally plays. So that could be an exciting series. Effort versus Action ZVZ. At least Effort showed in the round of 24 that we can potentially have some epically long ZVZs, so that could also be interesting. And then regardless of who comes out of the bottom side, their Zerg versus Protoss and Zerg versus Terran are both very strong. Both players really well known for their big time macro. So overall, I really do like both sides, how they ended up being drawn. I see predictions in the chat that we could have Mini versus JYJ finals. That's possible, dude, because JYJ, like, look at it. He could play he may play TVZ twice in a row if Hero makes it out and then he takes down Sulky, right? And there's actually even a shot that he could play Terran versus Zerg the entire way. Kind of similar to what he did last season. He basically avoided Protoss. These are some damn good games. So the first best of 5, there's a graphic right there. It's going to be Rush versus Hero. And it is just going to be 6 days from now. So it seems like the schedule is going to be the same as it is currently, which is Monday and Tuesday, I'm imagining. So same time, same place, which is nice. Hero versus Mini finals. Could happen, man. Maybe this is finally the season that Hero could go the distance. You know Hero's making it into the round of 4. That's just what he does. He always makes it there. There's our second matchup, Sulky versus JYJ. Then we're going to have Mini Sharp and Effort versus Action to round us out. JYJ gonna be Flash 2.0. You think so, man? You think JYJ's got what it takes? I don't even know which match that I'm most excited to see because Rush is just so godly Terran versus Zerg, and then Hero just always makes it to the round of 4 that I feel like that could be the series to watch. But then you have Sulky versus JYJ, which is a rematch from last season's semifinals where we had the epic 2-port Wraith on one base. Then we have Mini versus Sharp. Mini, who's always very volatile in his games, Sharp, you know, you never know what he's going to do in the tournament. He's looking pretty damn strong today. And then action versus effort. Effort coming into the ASL, I didn't really have him on my radar. I thought there's a lot of other Zergs that I would take over him, for example, Soma or Queen. But he's been killing it lately. And with his Hive Tech ZVZ, was that also effort versus action in the round of 16? I actually have to look now. Yeah, it was effort versus action. So this is a rematch from the round of 24. So a lot of revenge potential here for a lot of these matches. We're getting a look at the schedule. Okay, so I knew there was going to be a mix-up in the schedule. It's just what I've come to expect from ASL. So Monday and Tuesday for the next 2 weeks, we've got the round of 8. Then for some reason, it moves to Wednesday and Thursday. So I'm already going to have to mark my calendar for that. Make sure I don't wake up early for no reason. And then the finals. About a week and a half after that on Sunday. And we will already be done with ASL. I feel like I just started ASL and we're already almost done with the season. Already into the round of 8. It goes by so quick. And KwarK looks like he's wrapping it up real quickly here. I think. Or maybe I'm getting debated like I usually do. I remember seeing some posts on the YouTube channel on StarCastTV about the mouse pad that ASL was promoting. I checked the website, couldn't find it anymore on the shop. So if you are looking for it, I think it's just sold out, so that's a bit unfortunate. Also want to promote the StarCast Patreon. If you enjoy our cast, consider becoming a Patreon supporter. Just look at the details on the YouTube channel for further information on that. I think it's just patreon.com/StarCastTV, but I could be wrong. And I do want to give a shout out to Voddy here. He gave some good insight today, good analysis. Also brought up a lot of stuff that I didn't even consider in the game. And it's always nice to have somebody as high level as Voddy, as EonZerg, to give insight into the matches. And KwarK is giving us the signal here that today is done. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will be back next week, same time, same place, with 2 of those epic round of 8 matches.